Chapter 947. Xiaoping of the Human Race? Hearing Tu Linglong's voice, the fleeing demons were also startled. Ignoring the fact that they were being chased by the rock giant, they all looked in Tu Linglong's direction. Compared to the threat of the rock giant, Xiaoping of the human race was clearly more important. Oh my God, it really is Xiaoping of the human race. I'll recognize him even if he turns into ashes, the crow of misfortune shrieked. Its eyeballs almost popped out as it stared at Xiaoping in the distance. Metal Tiger, Three-Eyed Giant, and the other prodigies of the demon race were also shocked. What's going on? Isn't this the trial space of our demon race? How did the humans get in? This doesn't make sense. Is this part of the trial? Are these all illusions? T illusion. This is Xiaoping. How can an illusion be so real? Could it be that the humans found a flaw in the path of demon kings and took this opportunity to send a group of humans in to compete with us for the opportunity to become demon kings? That's definitely the case. Otherwise, why would these humans appear in the path of demon kings? Shameless humans. All they know is to steal from others and take a free ride. Don't they have the spirit of innovation? Who knows how many good things our demon race has, but these shameless humans used despicable means to steal them. Many demons gritted their teeth. They were so angry that their lungs almost exploded. These shameless humans actually had the face to take a share of the opportunity that originally belonged to their demon race. They all stared angrily at Xiaoping in the distance. Little maid, how have you been? Xiaoping completely ignored the gazes around him and looked at Tu Linglong with a smile. Ah, Tu Linglong shrieked. As if remembering the fear of being bullied by Xiaoping, she jumped behind Qingwan in fright. Her two rabbit ears were swaying gently. Are you a human or a ghost? Why did it appear in the trial mystic realm of our demon race? Tu Linglong seemed to have the support of Qingwan, so she became a little bolder and asked hesitantly. She was simply stunned by Xiaoping's sudden appearance in this place. She couldn't imagine it, even if she racked her brains. If this was a nightmare, she wanted to wake up immediately. Qingwan also felt very astonished. She also did not think that the important place of the Thousand Demon Mountain would actually be invaded by humans. Before, there was not even the slightest bit of news about it. It was too strange. Why are you here? What's so strange about that? This training space doesn't belong to your family. I can appear whenever I want, Xiaoping said in an overbearing manner, treating this place as his territory. Bullshit. Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. This trial space belongs to our myriad demon mountain. What despicable method did you humans use to get in here? She could be considered to have a new understanding of Xiaoping's shamelessness. This training space clearly belonged to the Wanyao Mountain. It had been like that since ancient times, but this shameless human actually still openly treated this place as his own territory. Little maid, I haven't seen you for a while, but you've grown bolder. You even dare to question your master? Xiaoping cast a sidelong glance at Tu Linglong with a dangerous look. Great Demon King, I won't be afraid of you. Sister Qingwan is here. This time, you won't be able to bully me. Being stared at by Xiaoping like that, Tu Linglong was so scared that she curled up behind Qingwan, afraid that she would be caught by Xiaoping again. At that time, she might even be betrayed again. Xiaoping still wanted to say something, but suddenly he felt tens of dangerous gazes shooting down from the sky. They condensed and condensed, full of killing intent. Just when he was talking to Tu Linglong, these rock giants also discovered Xiaoping's existence. What's going on? Why are there a few small things in this place? From what these monsters said, it seems like they are from a race called humans. They're extremely powerful. Who cares what race they are? External creatures that dare to invade this space must die. Do it crush this so-called human to death. Tens of rock giants communicated with each other. They quickly reached an agreement and rushed towards Xiaoping. Boom! Just at that moment, a rock giant leaped over from afar and landed in midair. Its fist that was like a small mountain smashed down just like that, bringing along a terrifying astral wind. Under such power, even a small mountain would collapse. Its power was boundless. Seeing this, Xiaoping took a step forward and punched the void, meeting it head-on. Foolish, puny creature. Seeing that Xiaoping actually dared to meet it head-on with his fist, the rock giant immediately burst into laughter. It was as if it was looking at some kind of idiot stupidity to a shocking extent. Who didn't know that rock giants were unparalleled in strength and could easily move mountains and drain seas? Their physiques were also not on the same level. This human was as small as an ant. But even with such a difference in strength, this kid actually dared to punch them head-on. If this wasn't stupidity, then what was? But the moment the rock giant came into contact with Xiaoping's fist, its expression changed drastically. What the hell is this? The rock giant felt that its huge fist that had always been successful had now appeared. Now, an extremely strong challenger had appeared. A terrifying power erupted from its fist, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas like a flood. Just this power alone was enough to overturn its entire body. But what scared it the most was that the opponent's fist force was a spiral fist force, like a vortex or an electric drill. It followed along its fist, inch by inch, and finally seeped into its lungs. The rock giant let out a mournful scream. Its entire body flew across the air and disintegrated in the air. The tyrannical spiral energy seeped into its 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Its arms and legs began to disintegrate inch by inch. The black soul fire that was originally in the depths of its pupils also fell apart because of this punch. The rock giant's body also became fragmented, and gravel flew everywhere. These gravel also fell from the sky, gathered together, and formed a small stone mountain. What? Originally, Tu Linglong thought that she was dead for sure. Being chased by a rock giant meant that she would die without a doubt. The rock giant would punch her into mincemeat. But she didn't expect that this great demon king of the human race, Xiaoping, was so ferocious that he was in a complete mess. Not only did he not lose out in strength when fighting the rock giant head-on, he even used the power of his fist technique to break the other party's body. Who knew how many times stronger he was compared to before? At this moment, Xiaoping really had a trace of the aura of a peerless demon. Human, you're courting death. Seeing that one of their companions was blown up by Xiaoping's punch, the remaining rock giants were extremely ferocious. They roared, and many rock giants charged towards Xiaoping. Chapter 948. Immediately, dozens of rock giants rushed over. It was as if dozens of mountains were crushing down, producing an extreme pressure that seemed to block the entire sky. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Fists that were like mountains smashed over, sealing off any space for Xiaoping to escape. The power was so great that the surrounding air was as heavy as cement. Oh no! Seeing this, Qing Wan's expression changed. Although the rock giant's attacks were mainly aimed at Xiaoping, they were standing at the side and were affected as well. Her reaction was extremely fast. She pulled Tu Linglong and immediately flew to the side, flying hundreds of meters away in a few breaths out of the attack range of these rock giants. Kuan Peng steps. Xiaoping also used exquisite steps. His entire body was like a Kuan Peng, wandering wantonly in the void. His control of the air was superb. The surrounding earth energy vibrated like a whirlpool, constantly strangling, but to the Kuan Peng, this was the best place. The power of the countless air currents were all for it to use. With a whoosh, his figure flickered and left the attack range of the rock giants. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, just as Xiaoping left, the rock giant's fists arrived in an instant and bombarded the ground, immediately creating a deep pit with a diameter of hundreds of meters. Dozens of rock giants' fists smashed down, and the area within a radius of dozens of kilometers trembled. The air currents condensed into a substance, spreading in all directions like sound waves. Many trees were shattered by the sound waves, and many huge rocks were turned into powder. Even the nearby hills showed signs of collapsing, and astonishing cracks appeared everywhere. These were the rock giants, the absolute rulers of the earth. Kill. Although many rock giants were shocked when they failed to hit Xiaoping, they had no intention of holding back. They were like martial Tao masters, displaying their fists and legs, trying to capture Xiaoping's figure. Immediately, a rock giant formed a circle with its hands. As if displaying a martial technique similar to Tai Chi, its hands produced a terrifying suction force, pulling in countless air currents. With its body as the center, all the air currents within a radius of 2 to 3 kilometers were under its control. It seemed that all living creatures in this area could not escape its control of the air currents. So strong. Seeing this scene, the pupils of the 3 old grandmasters contracted, and they could not help but exclaim out loud. Just the size and agility of the giant alone were already outrageous enough. It was not what ordinary people imagined giants to be. Now, he had even grasped a peerless martial technique. This was simply infuriating. "Found you, Aunt, die for me." A ferocious expression appeared on the stone giant's face as it sensed Xiaoping's presence. Its hand blotted out the sky as it slapped out, as if it had sensed Xiaoping's aura and sealed off all of his movements. "You want me to die? How could there be such a simple thing?" Xiaoping sneered. He did not dodge at all, instead grabbing at the air and pulling out the soul-absorbing bell from his space ring. Ring, under Xiaoping's all-out infusion of astral energy, the bewitching soul bell emitted tinkling sounds. It was like a death knell, spreading out in all directions. This power was soundless and formless, so no one could discover it. This spiritual wave crashed towards the rock giant in front of them. Dong! Immediately, the power of this collision was extremely terrifying. It was like a huge hammer hammering into the depths of the rock giant's soul, causing it to feel dizzy. The rock giant, who was originally majestic, had no power to resist such an attack. It held its head and rolled on the ground, howling crazily, as if it had suffered great pain. The surrounding mountains, trees, and rocks were all destroyed by the rock giant's rolling. It was as if they had been crushed into a flat land. The power was amazing. "What's going on?" Many rock giants were stunned. They had no idea what had happened to their companion. It had clearly not come into contact with this human, but it had fallen to the ground and howled in pain. The surrounding monsters were also stunned. No one knew better than them how terrifying the rock giant was. Its strength was unparalleled, and its defense was off the charts. No matter how they attacked it, it would be fine. This was an extremely difficult opponent to deal with. But now, it had been defeated by this human without a sound. It was too strange. That's right, a spiritual attack. This must be a spiritual attack. A strange light flashed in Qing Luan's beautiful eyes. Tu Linglong asked curiously, "A spiritual attack? The rock giant is extremely powerful. Its entire body is made up of rocks. Even if a rock is broken, they can pick up the gravel on the ground and integrate it into their body to recover quickly. Physical attacks are almost useless against them." Qing Luan explained, "But this doesn't mean that the incomparably powerful rock giant has no weaknesses. Their weakness is their soul. They lack a way to deal with spiritual attacks." This human found the weakness of the rock giant and targeted it. With one attack, it was immediately effective. She praised in her heart. This human was indeed extraordinary. In a short period of contact, he immediately found the weakness of the rock giant. With such battle wisdom alone, he was above countless people. Of course, even if he found the opponent's weakness, he might not be able to do it. After all, spiritual attacks were high-level martial arts skills. It could only be performed by creatures with extremely powerful soul power. Without enough talent, it was simply wishful thinking to want to shake the soul of the rock giant. Go to hell. At this moment, Xiaoping no longer had any intention of dodging. He directly rushed forward. In the eyes of others, this was simply a moth flying into the fire. He was digging his own grave. But this group of rock giant was extremely terrified. They knew that this human had mastered the power to restrain the rock giant. It was simply a piece of cake for him to deal with them. Boom! In an instant, the power of the soul-sucking bell exploded. Like waves, circles of tremors, with Xiaoping's body as the center, swept in all directions. These rock giant tried to escape, but there was no way. Even if they were extremely fast, how could they compare to the speed of the transmission of spiritual power? In an instant, the spiritual power bombarded the souls of these rock giants. Within the coverage of the spiritual power, all the rock giant let out shrill screams. It was as if their souls were ruthlessly smashed by a giant axe and could no longer be repaired. With a thud, their huge bodies fell to the ground. The cluster of soul fire in the depths of their eye sockets was also extinguished. Chapter 949. Damn it, this human has grasped the weakness of our stone giants. How is that possible? Although the soul is our weakness, it's impossible for ordinary mind attacks to shake our souls. That's right. In order to overcome this weakness, who knows how much cultivation we've put in? I can only say that this human soul is extremely powerful. Even the souls of the stone giants are far inferior. Quick, run. We can't fight to the death with this human. Otherwise, we'll all be wiped out. Return to the encampment immediately and report this to the elder. Seeing dozens of stone giants killed at the same time, their soul flames extinguished, the surviving stone giants in the distance all revealed expressions of shock and anger. They also felt the gap between them. Xiaoping, who had mastered mind attack mystic arts, was the bane of their race. If they continued fighting, they would only die a violent death. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, they made a prompt decision, turned around, and ran. Because these stone giants were too huge, they were over 100 meters tall. Once they started running, ordinary people couldn't catch up at all. In a few breaths, they had run more than 5 kilometers. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from everyone's sight. No way, the stone giants were scared off just like that. The demons who were still fleeing were all dumbfounded when they saw this. They never expected that the stone giants, who had been chasing them to the ends of the earth, would be defeated by Xiaoping and be scared shitless. For a moment, they thought they were hallucinating. Hello, everyone. Xiaoping stepped forward and greeted the demons present. Now that these stone giants have all scrammed, we can have a good talk. Talk my ass. A demon cursed. It had nothing to talk about with humans. If they didn't fight to the death when they met, it would be considered a good relationship. How could they even talk? Wasn't this nonsense? Before it could finish speaking, Xiaoping made a grabbing motion in the air, and a huge hand of gang energy condensed in midair. Just like how Buddha captured Sun Wukong, the demon was instantly caught. Bang! Immediately, the demon was smashed to the ground like a broken sack, creating a deep pit. Its skin cracked and blood flowed out of its 7 orifices. Clearly, it had been severely injured. What did you just say? My hearing isn't very good. Can you try saying it again? Xiaoping smiled as he looked at the half-dead demon at his feet. He did not seem to have any killing intent. The demon was in so much pain that he couldn't say a word. He felt as though all the nerves in his body were being bitten by ants, as though he had been subjected to unprecedented torture. When it saw Xiaoping's calm eyes, it was immediately scared to the point of pissing its pants. It was as if it was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. For a moment, it didn't dare to say anything tough, for fear of being killed by Xiaoping with a single slap. Where do you want to escape to? With a whoosh, Xiaoping's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of a rabbit demon who was trying to sneak away. He lifted her up with one hand and made her struggle in midair. Oh, human demon king, let me go. Let me go. Tu Linglong was so angry that her face turned red and she kept struggling. However, Xiaoping's earth chi instantly seeped into her body and immediately disintegrated the demonic power in her body, making her unable to exert any strength. She was extremely sad and indignant. Being carried in midair by a human was a great humiliation to the rabbit race's holy maiden. What a fast speed! Qingwan, who was at the side, was also shocked. Tu Linglong was by her side just now, but when Xiaoping arrived, she only realized that Xiaoping had arrived. But it was already too late. Tu Linglong was immediately captured by the human. Sister Qingwan, save me. Tu Linglong cried for help. Human, let her go. Qingwan shouted and slapped over with a hand that was like white jade. It looked abnormally beautiful, but it contained a terrifying might. The entire air seemed to be blown up by this hand. Even though she had lost 50% of her combat power, with the bloodline of a divine beast, her strength and speed were far superior to ordinary demon beasts. She had an overwhelming advantage. Facing this palm, Xiaoping did not dodge. He circulated the dark north body protection technique and immediately condensed a huge energy barrier around his body that flowed like water. Dong! The Vajra's palm slapped Xiaoping's body fiercely, causing a roaring shock. It was like the morning bell and evening drum, and the surrounding air exploded one after another. What? It didn't have any effect? Qing Wan was shocked. Even a demon at the peak of the Grandmaster realm would not dare to take this peerless palm of hers casually. Once it was received, it would either be dead or injured. But now, this human was actually unscathed. It was too exaggerated. Boom! At this moment, Xiaoping punched out. His right fist blasted out and smashed on Qing Wan's flat abdomen. Immediately, Qing Wan could not withstand this tremendous force and fell to the ground, weak and powerless. Previously, she was severely injured by the rock giant, and this time, she was punched by Xiaoping. She had no strength left in her body and fainted on the spot. Sister Qing Wan, Tu Linglong exclaimed. She looked at Xiaoping angrily. Damn human, how dare you hurt Sister Qing Wan? I'm not done with you. She kept struggling, trying to cause great trouble for Xiaoping. Be quiet. If you make any more noise, I'll eat you, the barbecued kind. Xiaoping glared at Tu Linglong. Suddenly, this glare scared Tu Linglong so much that she did not dare to speak again, for fear that this human demon king would eat her and Sister Qing Wan. The surrounding demons were very angry. This human did not know how to have tender and protective feelings for the fair sex. It was outrageous that the dignified demon saintess was treated like this. They could not wait to rush up and fight to the death with this human. But after weighing the gap between them, they did not dare to act rashly. Run! At this moment, a Grandmaster Eagle Demon flapped its wings and flew high. It fled toward the sky at the speed of a supersonic plane, leaving a white trace in the sky. It was trying to escape from Xiaoping's evil rule. It could not fall into the hands of this evil human. Want to run? Xiaoping was expressionless. In an instant, he took out a precious bow, the moon-shooting bow. He drew the bow and arrow, condensed the Gang Qi into an arrow, and shot it out at lightning speed. The arrow tore through the air, whistling, and locked onto the Eagle Demon's Qi. Dong! In the next second, the Eagle Demon's wing was instantly hit, and its huge body flew out. A few seconds later, it was nailed to a huge mountain wall in the distance. Blood dripped from the wound. Even if it wanted to struggle, it could not escape from the arrow. Chapter 950. Feeling Xiaoping's strong, murderous aura, the surrounding monsters couldn't help but shiver. They all knew that this human wasn't joking. This guy could do anything. Thinking of this, they all became extremely angry. They just got rid of the rock giant's pursuit, but now they fell into the hands of this hateful human. They really left the wolf's den and entered the tiger's den. They were extremely unlucky. They had no choice but to gather in front of Xiaoping. They didn't dare to run anymore. Human, what do you want? A monster asked in a trembling voice. If Xiaoping really wanted to kill them, he could have done it just now. But this human didn't do anything, so he must have some ulterior motives. It's very simple. Xiaoping didn't beat around the bush. He said straightforwardly, I just came to this space, so I don't know much about this place. What is this so-called space? How can this place help people advance to the King Realm? He voiced out his doubts. Hearing this, many monsters became silent. Their eyes flickered, as if they didn't want to say it. After all, this was one of the biggest secrets of the Monster Clan. How could they casually say it? Most importantly, if they were to divulge this secret, then wouldn't that bastard of a human come and snatch away their fortuitous encounters? This kind of thing like funding the enemy was absolutely not something that could be done. Little maid, what do you know? Xiaoping looked at Tu Linglong with a malicious expression. He felt that this girl would be the easiest to get information from. I don't know anything. Just give up. I won't tell you anything. Being looked at by Xiaoping like this, Tu Linglong was scared, but she was still very stubborn. She definitely wouldn't say anything. No matter what, She was the saintess of the Wanyao Mountain. She would never betray the monster clan. Forget it. Looking at you, I know you don't know anything. It's a waste of energy to ask. Before Tu Linglong finished speaking, Xiaoping waved his hand. He thought that Tu Linglong probably didn't know anything and was just a puppet. What? Hearing this, Tu Linglong was instantly angered. Her pretty face turned red. Shameless human, what do you mean? Are you looking down on me? As the demon race's saintess, she had a high status and was revered by countless demons. However, this bastard actually looked down on her, thinking that she was just a puppet saintess. He was looking down on her too much. As the demon race's saintess, she couldn't accept it. Hey, what are you doing? Why did you pick up Sister Blue Phoenix? At first, Tu Linglong wanted to yell at Xiaoping and teach him a lesson. As a saintess, her status was quite high. She was definitely not a puppet saintess who knew nothing. But she soon discovered that Xiaoping didn't pay attention to her. Instead, he carried up Qing Luan, who had fainted on the ground, looking like he wanted to lift his feet and leave. Instantly, she became anxious and stepped forward to stop him. Why are you carrying me? Of course we'll go to a remote cave and wake her up. Then we'll torture her and force out information about this trial space. Xiaoping explained his series of plans. This chick is a divine beast. I don't know how much higher her status is than a rabbit like you. She definitely knows a lot of things. Torture. Hearing these words, Tu Linglong almost went crazy. Right now, Big Sister Blue Luan was in a coma. So how is this shameless human going to torture Big Sister Blue Luan? This shameless human must have taken a fancy to Sister Qing Luan's beauty, and his lust was aroused. Thinking about Bai Ri Xian, he couldn't control his beastly nature and wanted to find a cave nearby to solve the problem. Thinking about the pure, flawless, noble, and elegant Sister Blue Phoenix being raped by this animal human and waking up with a dead heart, Tu Linglong felt that she was going crazy. She absolutely couldn't allow such a thing to happen. When the other demons saw this situation, they immediately knew what this animal human wanted to do. However, they couldn't do anything and could only watch the demon race's saintess being bullied by this human. Some demons thought even further. If because of this matter, the demon race's saintess and this human got together and gave birth to a half-human, half-demon descendant, the entire Wanyao Mountain would probably be shaken. Animal. Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were spewing fire. She simply wanted to eat Xiaoping like a meat bun. All right, I don't want to chat with a little girl like you. Time is precious. I have to do something quickly. Xiaoping waved his hand. He didn't care about Tu Linglong's anger. He wanted to carry Blue Phoenix and run away. Stop. Tu Linglong immediately jumped over and opened her arms to block Xiaoping. I won't let you bully Sister Blue Phoenix. Don't you want to know the secret of this trial space? I can tell you everything, but you can't bully Sister Blue Phoenix. She revealed an expression of serving a tiger with her body. She had already made up her mind. Forget it. Xiaoping looked at Tu Linglong with disdain. What can a little girl like you know? You must be lying. You want to fabricate nonsense. Do you think I will fall for it? Don't use your barren brain to measure my intelligence. Do you understand? He looked down on Tu Linglong. Human, don't go too far. Tu Linglong was going crazy. What do I have to do to make you believe me? She was fuming with anger. She clearly wanted to expose the secret, but this human didn't believe her at all. He thought she was fabricating nonsense. If he really was intelligent, how could he not tell whether she was telling the truth or not? This human was clearly doing this on purpose. His goal was to bully Sister Blue Phoenix. All right, Xiaoping raised his brows. Since you've said that, I'll be merciful and listen to what you have to say. Remember, don't make things up. Any lies will be seen through by my wise eyes. He warned Tu Linglong. Don't worry, I definitely won't lie. Tu Linglong said seriously. The surrounding demons were all going crazy, especially the metal tiger, the crow of misfortune, the three-eyed giant, and the other demon race prodigies. How could they not see that this human was bluffing? His goal was to pry the secret of this trial space from Tu Linglong's mouth. Now, Tu Linglong had been fooled by this shameless human. The problem was, even if they knew the human's true goal, they couldn't stop him. If any of them dared to speak up, they would most likely be killed by this human. They could feel the faint killing intent from Xiaoping's body. This was an overt scheme, using force to suppress others. Chapter 9:51. This trial space is actually a small secret realm, Tu Linglong said. Tu Linglong said, it was created by the ancient mighty figures of our demon race. There are a total of 5 major races living in this small secret realm, and they are the Blackwood race, the Rock Giant race, the Mech race, the Drought Demon race, and the Slime race. These 5 races are not from the Cloud Realm. The ancient almighty of the demon clan personally traveled through the void and went to various planets to capture them. According to you humans, they are all aliens. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. Although he knew that the creatures in this trial space were not simple, he did not expect that they were not native to the Cloud Realm, but from other planets. Why did the ancient almighty of the demon clan capture the 5 races and bring them to this secret realm? Xiaoping asked. If the 5 races did not have a huge secret, they would not have been targeted by the ancient almighty of the demon clan. The reason is simple. Tu Linglong said in a low voice, because the 5 races all have special abilities. They control the power of wood, earth, metal, fire, and water respectively. The 5 races represent the power of the 5 elements. Xiaoping did not speak and continued to listen to Tu Linglong. Of course, controlling the power of the 5 elements is nothing. Many monsters in the Myriad Monster Mountain can also control it, Tu Linglong said. The problem is that they have another special ability, and that is to cultivate spirit fruits. Wherever they live, there will be extremely precious spirit fruits. They are the wood spirit fruit, earth spirit fruit, metal spirit fruit, fire spirit fruit, and water spirit fruit. Every single one of the spirit fruits on the list contains a huge amount of energy. Consuming one of them will bring great benefits. If you can gather all 5 spirit fruits and consume them at the same time, the 5 elements will merge into one, and you'll be able to raise your life to the king realm, no matter how weak you are. She said that the most precious secret of this trial space was the 5 spirit fruits. If you could obtain all 5 spirit fruits and consume them at the same time, you would be able to break through to the king realm and open all your acupoints. The 5 spirit fruits. The 3 human grandmasters were tempted when they heard this. The bottleneck that had troubled them for so long could be broken through by consuming a few spirit fruits. It was really unbelievable. However, this wasn't a joke. After all, the heavens and the earth were vast, and there was nothing that didn't exist. Even spirit fruits that could assist one in breaking through into the king realm definitely existed. No way. 5 elements spiritual fruit? In this countryside, there's actually a 5 elements spirit fruit? Corinne, who had been staying on Xiaoping's body, immediately cried out in alarm when he heard these words. What? Are the 5 elements spirit fruits very precious in the universe? Xiaoping's heart moved, and he immediately asked. Corinne nodded his head. Of course it's precious. Even Zifu Realm, Divine Power Realm cultivators are eager to get 5 elements spirit fruit. It can greatly enhance their magic power and save them several hundred years of cultivation time. Such a precious spirit fruit would be coveted even in the universe. Using it to break through to the king realm is a matter of course. However, doing this is simply a waste of God's given gifts. It represented the Blackwood race, the Rock Giant race, the Metal Machine race, the Drought Demon race, and the Slime race. Even in the universe, they were all rather tyrannical races. The spirit fruits cultivated by these races were basically hard to come by. Now, someone actually dared to capture these 5 races, lock them up in a secret realm, and specifically produce spirit fruits for them as slaves. This courage was simply terrifying. If the leaders of these 5 races came to know about this, it was estimated that even if they were separated by hundreds of millions of light years, they would personally come to kill them. They wouldn't rest until they exterminated the enemy. Remember, you must obtain these 5 elements spirit fruits. They will greatly speed up your cultivation. Corinne excitedly said, I originally thought that in such a poor and remote place, there wouldn't be any treasures. Even if I wanted to advance to a higher realm, I don't know how many years it would take. Now that you have the 5-element spirit fruits, you will really be rich. The resources you will get will not be inferior to those disciples of big sections. He reminded Xiaoping to obtain the 5 elements spirit fruits. Where can I get these 5-element spirit fruits? Xiaoping asked. Tu Linglong said, it's in the internal orchard of these 5 races. That place is heavily guarded and tightly guarded. It's not that easy to get in. Previously, we tried to enter the rock giant tribe, but we were immediately discovered by them. As a result, we were chased for dozens of kilometers and almost killed. She was very helpless. She originally thought that since the rock giant was huge and they were very small, they wouldn't be discovered by the rock giant if they quietly entered. This was the easiest kind of spirit fruit to obtain. But who would have thought that these rock giants were extremely cautious and proficient in secret techniques? Even if a fly flew past, it would be detected by them. As a result, they were miserable. If Xiaoping hadn't come to this place, it was estimated that more than half of them would have died. The 5-element spirit fruits can only be found in the encampments of these 5 races. The 3 human grandmasters were also silent. This was the real trial of this trial space. After seeing the Blackwood race and the Rock Giant race, they knew how tyrannical these 5 races were. Wanting to enter deep into their encampments to obtain spirit fruits was as difficult as ascending to heaven. It was no wonder that these demon race prodigies entered this trial space without obtaining anything. This was also a matter of course. Then do you know how to leave this trial space? Asked Xiaoping. The eyes of the 3 human grandmasters lit up. This was the most crucial question. Even if they couldn't obtain the 5-element spirit fruit, they could still leave this damned place safely. There's only one way. Tu Linglong stretched out a finger. That is to advance to the King Realm. There's no other way. What do you mean? Lu Qi couldn't help but ask. It means exactly what it says. This space is simply a cage used to trap the 5 races and prevent them from leaving. Naturally, there's no exit. Tu Linglong said, but this is also the trial space of our demon race, so it can't possibly trap the descendants of the demon race. So, an ancient almighty has set up a rule of heaven and earth in this space. Only by advancing to the King Realm and exceeding the limits of this world will one be automatically expelled and leave this trial space. Apart from that, one will either be killed by the 5 races or die of old age in this place. So that's how it is. Xiaoping came to a sudden understanding. This was why those who didn't advance to the King Realm would definitely die in this trial space. If one didn't advance to the King Realm, it was impossible to leave even if one wanted to. Chapter 952. Have you found the nests of the 5 major races? Xiaoping asked. Tu Linglong said helplessly, so far, we can only find the nests of the rock giants. We haven't found the nests of the other races yet. After all, we haven't had enough time. Okay. Xiaoping nodded and gave an order. Then your next job is to find the nests of these races. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. What? Many of the monsters' faces turned green. What did this bastard human mean? He even said that their next job was to find the nests of the 5 major races. What did he think they were? Servants of this human that could be ordered around by him. What's wrong? What are you dissatisfied with? I personally saved your lives, and now I'm just asking you to do some small things. Do you think I'm wronging you? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and revealed a dangerous glint. Save my **s. The group of demons was infuriated. Although it seemed like the outcome, they did not ask the human to save them at all. Most importantly, this human definitely didn't want to save them. It was just a coincidence. Even so, they still dared to come and ask for credit. Did they have any shame? However, in the face of Xiaoping's bullying, they didn't dare to say anything. Not all. Not all. That's right. Anyway, finding the nests of the 5 major races is our job. This is Brother Xia's request. How could we dare to disobey? The monsters were extremely sullen. They covered their conscience and spoke. Very good. Xiaoping nodded with satisfaction. Now let's find a place to rest for the time being. He waved his hand and planned to find a temporary foothold in this mystic realm. At this moment, the big shots of the Blackwood race, rock giant race, metal machine race, drought demon race, and slime race gathered together. This time, we called everyone here for no other reason than that those bastards of the monster race came again and tried to snatch our 5-element spirit fruit. There was even an accident this time. Some humans also came, and one of them posed a huge threat to our Blackwood race. A 100-meter tall black tree stood on the ground, its black roots piercing into the ground. A black aura permeated the surroundings, corroding the ground in a radius of tens of meters. From afar, it looked like a shadow. This was the leader of the Blackwood tribe. At this moment, his face was extremely gloomy. The death of hundreds of his tribesmen was something the Blackwood tribe couldn't bear. Leader Blackwood, what can mere humans do? Isn't it because your Blackwood tribe is too weak that you were beaten to the point of fleeing like rats, resulting in countless casualties? The one who spoke was the Drought Demon tribe's leader. Its entire body was pitch black, like a dried corpse. It wore a Taoist robe, and its surroundings were suffused with a scorching aura. The ground was immediately scorched black. This was also the result of the Drought Demon leader controlling his own power. If he used his full power, everything within a dozen miles would be scorched. It would be like a drought. The Blackwood race was also a wood-type race, so they were naturally averse to the Drought Demon race. The two races rarely interacted, and once they met, they couldn't help but oppose each other. The Blackwood leader's eyes revealed a trace of coldness as he stared at the Drought Demon leader. Enough, don't quarrel. The rock giant leader spoke. We, the rock giants, encountered this human not long ago. He has mastered a secret mental technique that restrains our rock giant race. In the end, dozens of rock giants were killed by that human. He can't be underestimated. Its expression was solemn as it acted as a mediator, advising the leaders of the two races. As soon as the rock giant leader spoke, the Blackwood leader and the Drought Demon tribe leader both coldly snorted, but they didn't continue to oppose each other. This showed the rock giant leader's might. Even the rock giant leader says so. It seems this human is no small matter. The metal robot leader spoke. Its appearance was like a skeleton, and it was completely made of metal. When it spoke, its voice resounded like metal rubbing against each other. Its eyes seemed to be flickering with lightning energy, emitting a deep blue radiance. That's right, the human must be captured and killed. Otherwise, he will spoil our plans of many years. The Blackwood leader's killing intent soared. I suggest that the 5 major races send out experts to conduct a carpet search until the human is completely annihilated. It wanted to use the power of the 5 major races to deal with that hateful human together. The 5 major races send out experts? Aren't you thinking too highly of that human? The Drought Demon tribe leader still felt that this was making a mountain out of a molehill. No, it's not making a mountain out of a molehill at all. Even a lion will use its full strength to capture a rabbit. The rock giant leader spoke in a deep voice. My rock giant race can send out 1,000 elite soldiers. It supported the Blackwood leader's request. My metal robot race can also send out 1,000 elite soldiers. The metal robot leader spoke calmly. It was very simple and direct, just like a robot. If it agreed, it agreed. If it rejected, it rejected. It definitely wouldn't be ambiguous. Slime leader, what do you think? The rock giant leader looked at the slime leader in front of it. This slime leader didn't have eyes, mouth, or ears. It was just a blob of green liquid about the size of a basketball. This slime leader looked weak, but these leaders all knew that this slime leader was the most terrifying creature. Once touched by a slime, it would instantly envelop the enemy's body, and within a few breaths, the enemy would be completely corroded. Moreover, it was in a liquid state. Normal physical attacks had almost no effect on it. I have no objections. I agree with everyone's opinion. The slime leader spoke. However, it didn't speak. Instead, it transmitted its voice telepathically into everyone's mind. One couldn't hear any emotions from its voice at all. What about the Drought Demon tribe leader? The rock giant leader looked at the Drought Demon tribe leader. Since even the slime leader has agreed, then there's no point in me refusing. The Drought Demon tribe leader snorted coldly. It didn't refuse anymore. After all, the four leaders had agreed to this. Even if it stubbornly resisted, it would be meaningless. And most importantly, if that human really had such a threatening ability, then eradicating him now might not be a bad thing. That's good, the Blackwood leader said excitedly. There's no time to lose. I suggest starting tomorrow. We definitely can't give that hateful human a chance to breathe. Chapter 953. Late at night, in a secluded cave. This cave was extremely large, with many twists and turns. There were also many small caves in it. Many monsters chose a small cave at random to rest in. Tu Linglong also chose a small cave to take care of the unconscious Cyan one. At this time, Xiaoping was also at the entrance of the deepest cave, which was blocked with rocks to avoid being disturbed by others. At this moment, he sat cross-legged on the ground and ran the pure yang immortal technique. The Gang Qi in his body roared and vibrated. With his body as the center, it immediately formed a huge vortex of primordial qi. It's time to break through to the seventh heaven of supreme power realm. Xiaoping clenched his fists. Seeing the power of the Blackwood clan and the Rock Giant clan, he knew that it was not so easy to get the five-element spirit fruit in this trial space. With his current strength, it was far from enough. He had to further improve his martial arts cultivation. Moreover, he felt that after these days of consolidation and cultivation, the bottleneck of his martial arts was getting looser and looser. More importantly, the purple blood ginseng and silver fruit he had taken before still contained a lot of medicinal power in his body. Now, after continuous refining and absorption, they were transformed into the Gang Qi in his body. The Gang Qi in his body surged like a flood without a dam, surging wildly in every meridian in his body. It was also like a dragon rioting in his body, roaring, bang, bang. Xiaoping felt his body tremble. One by one, his acupoints were broken by the surging Gang Qi. In just a few breaths, he had opened 5 or 6 acupoints in a row. It's not enough. I have to take a lot of spiritual liquid. Soon, Xiaoping found that the purple blood ginseng and silver fruit in the depths of his body were almost consumed and could not support him to continue to break through the remaining acupoints. But it didn't matter. From the Shark Demon King's lair, he not only got a lot of purple blood ginseng and silver fruit, but also a lot of spiritual liquid. This spiritual liquid also contained a lot of energy, which was of great benefit to a guru. Rumble, Xiaoping immediately swallowed the spiritual liquid. He ran the pure yang immortal technique and quickly digested the energy of the spiritual liquid and transformed it into Gang Qi. What a rich energy! Xiaoping perked up and inwardly marveled. As expected of the spirit liquid from the Shark Demon Monarch. Anything produced by a demon monarch must be of high quality. After taking it, the spiritual liquid provided a large amount of energy to his body. It was like filling up a car with gasoline, and he could drive it to full speed in an instant. Bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoping felt that the remaining acupoints were easily broken through by the huge energy, and he was promoted to the 7th level of supreme power in an instant. This kind of breakthrough was like water flowing when the conditions were right. This is the 7th heaven of supreme power. Xiaoping felt as though he had entered a whole new realm. Every one of his insight acupoints felt as though there was a golden crow of hell residing there. This was an illusion formed from countless streams of fiery astral energy. If someone could look within themselves, they would see that the golden crows of hell seemed to have gained a trace of spirituality. Their eyes seemed to have intelligence, as if they were about to come to life. He felt that his control over his stellar energy had increased to a whole new level. With a casual grab, his stellar energy vibrated, and a flaming bird condensed above his right hand. It seemed like it was about to flap its wings and fly away. Fly! Xiaoping's spiritual force penetrated into it and seemed to be integrated with the flaming bird, making it produce a trace of spirituality. With a wave of his hand, the flaming bird flew out. With a few whooshes, the flaming bird hovered in the air with a zigzag trajectory. In an instant, it smashed toward a stone wall in the distance. With a bang, The flaming bird smashed a big hole in an instant. The flames burned, and even the rocks were burned into lava. The temperature of the cave was also rising sharply. My spiritual force has also increased. Xiaoping closed his eyes and felt that his spiritual force was also 3 times stronger than before. It continued to spread out, and the area within a radius of 20 or 30 miles was covered by his spiritual force. Within this range, no flying insect, bird, or beast could hide from his perception. He was like a god. What is this? Xiaoping felt the wonderful spread of his spiritual force. However, when he gathered all his spiritual force in his body and penetrated into every cell of his body, it finally reached his brain. He immediately discovered that in the depths of his brain, there seemed to be a purple door that had appeared out of thin air. It was engraved with many noble and ancient inscriptions, and it was mysterious and unfathomable. It lay across the void of his brain, and it was indomitable. It was obstructing him from exploring the deepest part of his brain. Previously, Xiaoping was unable to discover the existence of this purple door. It seemed that only when one's spiritual force reached a certain realm would one be qualified to discover the existence of this domain. Purple Palace. Could this be the legendary Purple Palace? Xiaoping's spiritual force shook. He instinctively sensed that this might be the legendary Purple Palace. This was the most profound and mysterious domain of the human body. Once the Purple Palace was established, one would be able to condense magic power and advance to the King realm. However, establishing the Purple Palace was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Not to mention anything else, just sensing the existence of the Purple Palace was impossible for ordinary martial artists. If one could sense the existence of the Purple Palace, then it would be possible for him to break through to the King realm. I wonder if I can establish the Purple Palace now. Xiaoping thought in his heart. He let his imagination run wild. He circulated the spiritual force in his body and transformed it into a spear. He fiercely smashed it towards the purple door. Bang! This collision caused his entire body to tremble, and even his soul to tremble. It could be said that the strength of this strike was extremely terrifying. It struck the purple door to the point it droned and shook without end. However, this purple door was too hard, so even if it suffered such a terrifying attack, it wasn't damaged in the slightest. It was even to the extent that a terrifying backlash came from it. Pooh! Xiaoping felt the backlash, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His countenance was ghastly pale as his blood sprayed all over the ground. The hot blood that sprayed onto the ground was simply like lava that sizzled and emanated strands of white smoke. This won't do. It's slightly difficult to establish the Purple Palace now. Xiaoping felt that the purple door in the depths of his brain was extremely heavy, and even with his formidable spiritual force, it was impossible for him to shake it in a short period of time. No matter what, he was only at the 7th level of the Grandmaster realm, so wanting to establish the Purple Palace now was truly looking down upon the King realm. But this is a good thing as well. Xiaoping quickly became excited. He'd obtained from Corinne that sensing the existence of the Purple Palace was already the first step into the King realm, and countless Grandmasters had fallen at this level. Chapter 954. The next morning, only then did Qing Wan wake up. She opened her beautiful eyes and immediately saw Tu Linglong, whose eyes were red and had not slept for the whole night. Sister Qing Wan, that's great. You're finally awake. Tu Linglong saw Qing Wan wake up and immediately shouted in surprise. Linglong, are you all right? Where's that human? Qing Wan looked around vigilantly. At the last moment before she fainted, she remembered that she was knocked out by that hateful human. And at that time, her aura was completely suppressed by that human Xiaoping, and none of the monsters dared to resist. The situation was so critical, but what was going on now? She didn't seem to be hurt at all, and Tu Linglong also didn't seem to be abused and bullied by that hateful human. I'm fine. Tu Linglong stuttered. Her eyes flickered. She didn't dare to tell Qing Wan that in order to save her, she foolishly revealed the biggest secret of the path of the Demon King and became a traitor of the demon race. How can you be fine? Did that human bully you? I'll deal with him immediately, even if I have to pay with my life. Qing Wan gritted her teeth, endured the pain in her body, and struggled to get up. No, Sister Qing Wan, it's not what you think. Seeing Qing Wan like this, Tu Linglong knew that Qing Wan must have misunderstood something. She quickly told Qing Wan the truth and stopped her from getting up, lest her injuries continue to worsen. So that's how it is. After hearing Tu Linglong's words, Qing Wan immediately heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Tu Linglong wasn't bullied by that beast of a human, everything could be salvaged. Sister Qing Wan, don't you blame me for revealing the biggest secret of this trial mystic realm? Tu Linglong was like a child who had done something wrong, lowering her head and looking very depressed. No, I don't blame you at all. Qing Wan shook her head. According to this human's intelligence, I believe that as long as he stays in this trial space for a little longer, he will eventually reveal the secret of this trial space. This can't be stopped at all. And there are many monsters participating in this trial. Not all of them are upright and plain-spoken. There will always be a few monsters who reveal the secret of the path of the Demon King in order to save their lives. Even if you didn't say it, it doesn't mean that other monsters won't say it. So, you don't have to blame yourself for this. She comforted the dejected Tu Linglong, telling her that it wasn't her fault and that she had made the best choice out of her last resort. But Tu Linglong looked at the blue wand eagerly. Qing Wan waved her hand. No buts. In short, this matter is not your fault. At least you saved my life. Isn't that your greatest contribution this time? By the way, where is that human? She tried to change the topic, not wanting to get entangled in this matter any longer. As expected, Tu Linglong was immediately fooled. She said angrily, I don't know. Last night, he locked himself in a cave and didn't come out at all. He was very mysterious. I don't know what he's up to. Sister Blue Phoenix, you also know that this human is full of evil tricks. In the human world, he is also an existence that everyone wants to beat up. He is an existence that is hated by all. For him to not cause trouble for one night, he must be brewing some big scheme. Her impression of Xiaoping was simply extremely bad. She didn't have a good impression of him at all. She thought that he might be brewing some evil scheme just by resting peacefully for one night. The legendary great demons were like this. If it didn't scheme against people every day, they would feel uncomfortable all over. This was already a habit that was deeply rooted in their bones, and it couldn't be changed at all. Is that so? Why don't I know that I'm an existence that everyone wants to beat up in the human world? Who exactly is gossiping around you? Tell me his identity immediately, and I promise I won't beat him to death. Immediately, a voice sounded. Tu Linglong originally wanted to continue cursing that demon human, but she suddenly heard this demon-like, familiar voice. She immediately jumped in fright. She turned around and immediately saw Xiaoping in front of her. Tu Linglong was immediately startled. Why are you here? Aren't you still staying in seclusion in the depths of the cave? Why are you here? Could it be that you want to attack Sister Blue Phoenix at night, when I'm not prepared? Various evil scenes appeared in her little head, including Xiaoping doing all kinds of indescribable things to Sister Blue Phoenix, who was sleeping soundly without any resistance. Bang! Before she could finish speaking, Xiaoping stretched out his right hand and knocked Tu Linglong's little head forcefully. Don't change the topic. Where did you get this false information from? Tu Linglong covered her head that was almost swollen. She was in so much pain that she almost cried. This bastard human was really too ruthless. He didn't have the slightest tenderness for the fair sex at all. Don't touch Linglong. The blue wand struggled, and in the blink of an eye, she kicked towards Xiaoping. Her slender white legs streaked across the air, forming a beautiful arc that was dazzling to the eyes. Not bad, as expected of a divine beast physique. It's only been one night, and her injuries have recovered to this extent. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and immediately sensed that the injuries on the Blue Phoenix's body were actually almost healed. She had clearly suffered extremely serious injuries before, but with the help of the healing power in her body, her injuries were almost healed in one night. This self-healing ability was far above that of countless demons. However, although he was praising her, he had no intention of showing mercy. Dong! Xiaoping gently patted with his hand, like an eagle catching a chick, and instantly grabbed the long leg of the blue phoenix. The tyrannical Gang Qi immediately offset the huge demonic power on the blue phoenix. The two collided and immediately burst out a loud sound. The sound waves vibrated and the dust rolled. How was it possible? In just one night, your martial arts cultivation has improved again? Blue Phoenix was stunned. She had just fought with Xiaoping yesterday. Although Xiaoping was also strong at that time, he was the most terrifying one today. The Gang Qi on his body was incredibly strong, and he easily dissolved all the demonic power in her body. It was as unfathomable as the sea. This was something that Xiaoping could not compare with yesterday. Yes, I have been promoted to the seventh heaven of supreme power realm. Xiaoping looked at the blue phoenix and said, "You're quite bold. You even dare to attack me. It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know who the master of this place is." There was a dangerous light in his eyes. What do you want? Chapter 955. Don't tell me you don't know what I want to do. Xiaoping sneered and looked Qing Wan up and down. The look in his eyes became more and more dangerous. It's over. This time it's completely over. This is clearly going to be F***head. Tu Linglong's face turned pale. She could completely see through this shameless human's evil thoughts. Because of her obstruction yesterday, this beast's beastly nature was suppressed for an entire night. However, a beast was still a beast. How could he be suppressed for a lifetime? Perhaps enduring for one night was this shameless human's limit. Don't act recklessly. I'm the saintess of the 1,000 Goblin Mountain. If you dare to do anything to me, the 1,000 Goblin Mountain will never let you go. Qing Wan pretended to be fierce. She grabbed onto the last straw and hoped that Xiaoping wouldn't act rashly. Otherwise, it would definitely create a huge rift between the human and the Yao race. It's none of my business. If you have the guts, ask those Yao kings to bite me. Xiaoping was very disdainful. Bastard human. Qing Wan now understood why Sister Linglong hated this human so much. This bastard human was extremely daring and didn't care about the consequences when he did things. Obviously, he also wouldn't care about her identity as the saintess of the 1,000 Goblin Mountain. If he really had some considerations, this brat wouldn't have dared to capture the descendants of the Yao kings and even auction them on the spot. This human was simply a lawless person. Now, she actually fell into this human's hands. This was simply 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Demon human, didn't you promise me that as long as I told you the secret of the Yao King's path, you wouldn't bully Sister Qing Wan? Tu Linglong glared at Xia Ping angrily, thinking that this human didn't keep his promise. I did, but seeing your arrogant attitudes, I decided to temporarily change my mind. Xia Ping revealed a look as if it was all their fault. Since you angered me, you must pay the price. This is the first precious life principle that I'll teach you too. I hope you can cherish it. And little maid, don't even think about escaping this time. What? Tu Linglong's pretty face turned pale. What did this human mean? She couldn't even think about escaping. Could it be that this human thought that Sister Qing Wan alone couldn't satisfy him, and he already wanted to lay his hands on her? A virgin? This time, he wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Did he want the 2 of them to serve 1 man? Thinking of this, she spat on the ground. This lust human was shameless, thinking of such dirty and shameless things all day long. He didn't know how to do proper things. Sooner or later, this bastard would die on a woman's belly. Evidently, Qing Wan had the same thoughts. Her beautiful eyes were filled with fury. Once this bastard human dared to harm her and her sister Linglong. Even if she had to pay a huge price, she would make this human suffer. She would let him clearly understand that it was not so easy to take advantage of the demon race's holy maiden. All right, I won't waste any more words with you. Let's begin. Xiaoping waved his hand, completely ignoring the furious gazes of the 2 saintesses, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan, and immediately attacked. First, he left the cave and took out a parcel. There were 2 sets of maid costumes inside. As for these two sets of maid outfits, he had inadvertently placed them in his space ring. They had not been of much use to him before, so he had forgotten about them. Now was the right time to take them out and teach the two sanuses a profound lesson. With a few claps, Xiaoping forced Tu Linglong and Qing Yuan to change into the maid costumes. Suddenly, the temperament of the two changed greatly. From sanuses, they became cute little maidservants and mature and charming housekeepers. In particular, the two sanuses' figures were very hot. Wearing extremely close-fitting maid costumes, they could even better set off their figures. Seeing this, the male animals were dumbfounded, and their hormones increased sharply. "You, what do you want to do to us?" Tu Linglong and Qing Yuan were going crazy. Their pretty faces were flushed, and they were at a loss. Wearing such clothes was really extremely shameful. This was clearly a set of clothes created by a shameless male human for his own pleasure. From head to toe, there was not the slightest sense of beauty, especially Qing Yuan. She was usually noble, generous, and mature, just like an empress. Her every move was dignified and elegant, and she had accepted the etiquette of a king. When had she ever worn such shameless clothes? This had completely overturned her usual image. For her, wearing this shameful maid costume was no different from not wearing any clothes. Although Tu Linglong had also worn this set of clothes in Xiaoping's villa, now that she was wearing it again, she was reliving the humiliation from back then. This made her feel extremely ashamed, and she wanted to die from embarrassment. "This is a lesson for you." Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "From now on, you will be obedient maids by my side. Wash clothes, fold blankets, pour tea, and pass water. You have to do everything well. Otherwise, you can imagine the consequences." He stated his requirements. Be a maid. Tu Linglong and Qing Yuan were very angry. As the sanuses of the demon race, it was a basic requirement for them to not do any chores. It had always been others who served them, and they did not need to serve a man. If this was a joke, then it was a big joke. Where did this maid costume come from? Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. Xiaoping said matter-of-factly, "Of course it was brought in from outside. Pervert." Qing Yuan instantly scolded. "You came into this trial space from outside, and you didn't take anything else. You actually took two sets of maid costumes. What are you trying to do?" She was simply crazy. She couldn't imagine it at all. One had to know how dangerous this trial space was. If you didn't become a king, you would die. The death rate was above 99%. Normal people, in order to deal with the dangers of this trial space, would bring all sorts of important resources, such as weapons, healing pills, defensive weapons, and so on. However, because people's power was limited, the things that each person could bring were extremely limited. They had to be carefully selected. But this human actually brought two sets of maid costumes in his bag. What kind of perverted thoughts did he have to bring these things in? What was his goal? Did he want to wear them himself? Or did he already target the two of them? Even she couldn't think of Xiaoping's goal. Probably even the great wisdom of Wanyao Mountain couldn't think of it. Why do you care what I want to do? Anyway, if you dare to resist, then don't blame me for being impolite. Xiaoping was very domineering. He didn't have any intentions of explaining at all. There had never been a maid who dared to question her master in front of his face. You, Qing Yuan and Tu Linglong were very angry. This human was too domineering and unreasonable. Big Brother Xia. Chapter 956. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons had just entered the cave. When they saw Tu Linglong and Qing Yuan, their pupils contracted, and they couldn't help but cry out, because such clothes really surprised them. In their eyes, Qing Yuan, who had always been dignified, elegant, and noble, had never worn such clothes. However, they had to admit that it had a unique flavor, and people couldn't help but turn into wolves. As for Tu Linglong, the clothes were too suitable for her. With her pretty face, she was just like a little maid who was used to being bullied by her master. Qing Yuan and Tu Linglong didn't expect to encounter demons of the same race coming in at this time, and they were suddenly seen in such a shameful scene. If there was a hole in the ground now, they simply wanted to crawl into it immediately and they would be so embarrassed that they couldn't face anyone. The two beautiful faces suddenly blushed, and their beauty was indescribable. It was as if the dim cave had become a lot brighter, as if they were goddesses under the moon. "What do you want?" Xiaoping was calm and composed, as if he was completely unaware of what was happening around him, and he seemed to be used to it. Beastly humans. Both Qing Luan and Tu Linglong cursed in their hearts. Such a shameful thing had clearly happened, but he still showed an expression as if nothing had happened. His skin was simply too thick. Compared to this guy's skin, that little bit of martial arts talent was simply a fart. If there was a divine skill of being thick-skinned in this world, he would definitely be a first-class master, the kind that even nuclear bomb couldn't penetrate. Big Brother, Xia, the Crow of Misfortune, and the other monsters all looked at each other, then at Xiaoping, and then at Tu Linglong and Qing Luan. They felt that the atmosphere was very strange, and they didn't know what to say. "Speak freely if you have anything to say. Of course, if there's nothing important, but you come to disturb me for no reason, I will be very angry, and the consequences will be quite serious. To be honest, when I get angry, even I am afraid of myself." Xiaoping looked at the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters with a smile. "Demon. This human is simply a demon in human skin." Looking at Xiaoping's smiling face, the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters didn't feel a trace of warmth. Instead, they felt cold all over, as if there was a cold current spreading through their bodies, freezing their bones. They also knew why Xiaoping was so angry. It was definitely because they had rashly come in and disturbed the humans' fun, so he vented his anger on them. Thinking of this, they didn't dare to continue keeping him in suspense. They didn't even dare to comment on Tu Linglong's and Green Luan's clothes. They could only turn a blind eye. The Crow of Misfortune immediately said, "Brother Xia, this is what happened. Previously, according to your instructions, we went to search the encampments of the 5 major races, but we found something else." "What did you find?" Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He was very interested in this matter. "We found that all 5 major races seem to have been mobilized." The Crow of Misfortune looked at Xiaoping strangely. "They are searching for Brother Xia's whereabouts everywhere in this mystic realm. They seem to be planning to capture and kill you." It revealed the news that the monsters had found him. "What?" Tu Linglong and Qing Luan were both dumbfounded. This scoundrel had just entered this trial space not long ago, but he had actually forced the 5 major races to join forces to hunt him down. Just what did this scoundrel do to incur the wrath of the heavens? To be honest, they had only seen Xiaoping deal with a rock golem. They didn't know that he had also dealt with the Blackwood race. Furthermore, he had personally taken action and killed over 100 of them. It could be said that he had killed many members of the 2 major races. He had immediately become the most wanted criminal of the 5 major races. If they wanted to kill him, the consequences would be quite severe. They still dare to hunt me down? They're quite bold. Xiaoping clenched his fists. "Where are those fellows right now? I'll immediately lead the army to exterminate them as a warning." He was brimming with killing intent. He planned to lead a group of demons to find trouble with the 5 major races and strike first to gain the upper hand. Let an army? Tu Linglong and Qing Luan were both stunned. What did that mean? Since when did all of them become this human subordinates? Since when could they be commanded by this fellow as he pleased? Moreover, this matter was caused by this scoundrel. The 5 major races were also looking for trouble with this brat. What right did he have to shamelessly drag them down with him? He was trying to make them take the blame for him. He was too shameless. Hearing this, the faces of the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons turned green. If Xiaoping insisted, they wouldn't be able to refuse even if they wanted to. However, if they were to fight to the death with the 5 major races now, this fellow might be full of vigor and vitality, but they might be sacrificed in vain. No one would cry for them. Big Brother Xia, don't be impulsive. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. That's right. If we act rashly, we will fall into the other party's trap. It's possible that we will be wiped out. That's right. It won't be too late to act after we find out the strength of the 5 major races. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons hurriedly dissuaded Xia Ping from acting rashly. Otherwise, if Xia Ping really rushed forward like a fool, he would definitely implicate them. That's right. What if the other party outnumbers us? With just our strength, we will just be sending ourselves to the other party. Maybe those guys want us to deal with them and want to wait for us to come. Tu Linglong wanted to bite this bastard human who was full of fighting and killing. Didn't he know what the situation was now? This was the territory of the 5 major races. Wasn't it courting death to want to cause trouble in their territory? Xia Ping touched his chin. Well, what you said is very reasonable. Then I will temporarily spare those guys' lives. I will deal with them in the future. He thought about it and compromised. He would wait until he found out the specific situation of the 5 major races. Otherwise, it would be quite troublesome if an old king-tier monster suddenly appeared. After all, he was not with the Radiant God at the moment. Instead, he was in the villa on the giant island undergoing modifications and upgrades. He did not have the means to kill kings, so it was better to be more cautious. Of course, he was wearing the universal protective suit, so he was not very afraid of the kings of the 5 major races appearing. As long as it was not an invincible king, he had nothing to fear. It was said that this world severely suppressed the power of the 5 major races. It was extremely difficult to break through, so it was impossible for powerful beings like invincible kings to appear. Hearing this, many of the monsters heaved sighs of relief. As long as this human did not cause trouble and cause them to fall into the water, that would be for the best. However, these 5 major races are so arrogant, and I can't take this lying down. I want to personally go out and see what gives them the confidence to provoke me. Xia Ping clenched his fists. What? Chapter 9:57. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons had just entered the cave, and when they saw Tu Linglong and Qing Luan, their pupils constricted, and they couldn't help but cry out. That was because such clothes really surprised them. In their eyes, Qing Luan, who had always been dignified and elegant, had never worn such clothes. However, it had to be said that it had a unique flavor, and it could make people turn into wolves. As for Tu Linglong, it was really too suitable for her. She had a pretty face, just like a little maid who was used to being bullied by her master. Qing Luan and Tu Linglong didn't expect to encounter demons of the same race at this time, and they were suddenly seen in such a shameful scene. If there was a hole in the ground now, they simply couldn't wait to crawl into it, and they would be so embarrassed that they couldn't face anyone. The 2 beautiful faces suddenly blushed, and their beauty was indescribable. It was as if the dim cave had become much brighter, and they were like goddesses under the moon. What do you want? Xia Ping was calm and composed, as if he was completely unaware of what was happening around him, and he seemed to be used to it. Beast human. Both Qing Luan and Tu Linglong cursed in their hearts. Such a shameful thing had clearly happened, but he still acted as if nothing had happened. His skin was simply too thick. Compared to this guy's skin, that little bit of martial arts talent was simply a fart. If there was a divine skill of being thick-skinned in this world, he would definitely be a first-class expert, the kind that even a nuclear bomb couldn't penetrate. Big brother, the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons looked at each other, then at Xia Ping, and then at Tu Linglong and Qing Luan. They felt that the atmosphere was very strange, and they didn't know what to say. Speak freely if you have anything to say. Of course, if there's nothing important, but you come to disturb me for no reason, I will be very angry, and the consequences will be quite serious. To be honest, when I'm angry, even I am afraid of myself. Xia Ping smiled at the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons. Demon. This human is simply a demon in human skin. Seeing Xia Ping smile, the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons didn't feel any warmth, but instead felt cold all over, as if there was a cold current spreading through their bodies, freezing their bones. They also knew why Xia Ping was so angry. It was definitely because they had come in rashly and disturbed this human's fun. As a result, he vented his anger on them. When they thought up to here, they didn't dare to continue keeping Chun-Shi in suspense, and it was even to the extent that they didn't dare to evaluate Tu Linglong and Qing Luan's clothes. They could only turn a blind eye to them. The Crow of Misfortune immediately said, "Big Brother Xia, it's like this. Previously, according to your orders, we searched the encampment of the 5 major races, but we found something else." "What harvest?" Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He was very interested in this matter. "It seems like all 5 major races have been mobilized." The Crow of Misfortune looked at Xia Ping with a strange look in its eyes. "They've been searching all over this arcane realm for you, Big Brother Xia. It seems like they want to capture and kill you." It told them that it had been found by these monsters. What? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both dumbstruck. This scoundrel had only just entered this trial space not long ago, yet he had already forced the 5 major races to join forces to hunt him down. Just what had this scoundrel done to incur the wrath of the heavens? To be honest, they had only seen Xia Ping deal with the rock giant. They didn't know that he had also dealt with the Blackwood race, and that he had personally killed over 100 of them. It could be said that he had killed many members of the 2 major races, and immediately became the #1 wanted criminal of the 5 major races. If they wanted to kill him, the consequences would be quite severe. They still dare to hunt me down? They got some guts. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Where are those fellows now? I'll immediately lead an army to annihilate them as a warning to others. He was filled with killing intent, and he planned to lead a group of monsters to find trouble with the 5 major races. He wanted to strike first and gain the upper hand. Let an army? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both stunned. What did that mean? Since when did all these monsters become this human subordinates? Since when could they be ordered around by this fellow as he pleased? Moreover, this matter was caused by this scoundrel. The 5 major races were also looking for trouble with this brat. What right did he have to shamelessly drag them down with him? He was trying to make them take the blame for him. Too shameless. Hearing this, the faces of the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters turned green. If Xia Ping insisted, they wouldn't be able to refuse even if they wanted to. However, if they were to fight to the death with the 5 major races now, this fellow might be full of vigor, but they might be sacrificed for nothing. No one would cry for them. Big Brother Xia, don't be impulsive. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. That's right. If we act rashly, we will fall into the other party's trap. It's even possible that we'll be wiped out. That's right. It won't be too late to act after we've investigated the strength of the 5 major races. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters hurriedly dissuaded Xia Ping from acting rashly. Otherwise, if Xia Ping really foolishly charged forward, he would definitely implicate them. That's right. What if the other party has the advantage in numbers? With just our strength, we'll just be sending ourselves to the other party. Perhaps those fellows want us to deal with them and wait for them to come. Tu Linglong really wanted to bite this bastard human who only knew how to fight and kill. Did he not know what the current situation was? This was the territory of the 5 major races. Trying to cause trouble in their territory? Wasn't that just courting death? Xia Ping rubbed his chin. All right, you're all very reasonable. In that case, I'll spare those fellows' lives for now. I'll deal with them in the future. He thought about it and decided to compromise. He would wait until he had investigated the situation of the 5 major races first. Otherwise, it would be quite troublesome if an old king-tier monster suddenly appeared. After all, he was not with the Radiant God at the moment. Instead, he was staying in the villa on the giant island, undergoing modification and upgrading. He did not have the means to kill kings, so it was better to be more cautious. Of course, he was wearing the universal protective suit, so he was not very afraid of the kings of the 5 major races appearing. As long as it was not an invincible king, he had nothing to fear. It was said that this world severely suppressed the strength of the 5 major races. It was extremely difficult to break through, so it was impossible for an invincible king to appear. Hearing this, many of the monsters heaved sighs of relief. As long as this human did not cause trouble and cause them to fall into the water, that would be for the best. However, these 5 major races are so arrogant. I can't take this lying down. I want to personally go out and investigate. What gives these 5 races the confidence to provoke me? Xiao Ping clenched his fists. What? Chapter 958. 1. Who is it? The three races were stunned. They had never thought that such a thing would happen. They were just chatting, but the next second, the captain of the robot squad was sent flying and was half crippled. Boom! When the dust settled, a figure appeared on the ground. A human. The Blackwood squad leader's pupils shrank as he stared at the human figure on the ground. It was none other than Xiao Ping. Who the hell are you? The Hitorigami squad leader also stared at this figure. It instinctively felt that this figure was exuding an extremely dangerous aura. It was like a dormant Tyrannosaurus. Who am I? Hearing this, Xiao Ping instantly laughed. Weren't you guys talking about me just now? Have you forgotten? What? The creatures of the three races were shocked. The Blackwood squad leader's eyes were filled with murderous intent. You're the human we're hunting. How dare you? You clearly know that we are hunting you, yet you still dare to appear in front of us. Are you really not afraid of death? It had never thought that the human, whom it had thought would take a long time to find, would appear directly in front of them. There was no need to look for him at all. However, it also felt that this human was too arrogant. Did he think that the five races were made of mud? He appeared in front of them casually. Did he really think that they were not fast enough to kill people? Of course I'm afraid of death. Who isn't? Xiao Ping said matter-of-factly. But with your abilities, you can't kill me. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking down on all living beings. He did not care about these aliens at all. Arrogant. I want to see how a puny human like you can be so arrogant in front of me. The Hitorigami squad leader was the first to be unable to stand Xiao Ping's arrogant attitude. Whoosh! In an instant, its entire body erupted with a scorching aura. Its 108,000 pores all emitted red flames. Its entire body was like a huge fireball. The surrounding temperature rose rapidly. It seemed that even the air was distorted. Waves of heat rolled, and the water in the surroundings quickly evaporated into water vapor. The weeds and various plants on the ground were quickly evaporated. They quickly withered and turned into withered grass. It seemed that the area within a few miles had become extinct. Drought Demon Clan's ultimate technique. Drought Demon 5 ultimate palms. Hitorigami stretched out his crimson palm. In an instant, layers of palm prints appeared in the air. Each palm print was like a giant hand formed by the convergence of fire energy. Before the attack even reached the enemy, the scorching energy could already harm the enemy's internal organs. It was as if all living things within a radius of several kilometers would be completely cooked. Hell Demon Suppressing Spear. With a bang, Xiao Ping instantly took out a treasured artifact, the Hell Spear. He came here to kill demons, not to chat with them. At the same time, in order to prevent these aliens from notifying their companions, he had no intention of playing with them at all. Once he attacked, he gave it his all. In the blink of an eye, a black shadow of a spear pierced out. It was as though a demonic god was wielding a spear to kill the enemy. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. With the hell spear at the center, an aura of hell erupted out, as though the gates of hell had been summoned, and countless gods and devils were trying to rush out. What is this? The Hitorigami team leader was horrified. It realized that the extremely violent fire energy of its Hitorigami 5 ultimate palms was enough to evaporate the water in the bodies of all living things. But it seemed to have no effect on this human. It was as though this human was very happy to bathe in such violent and scorching energy, as though he was soaking in a hot spring. Moreover, the opponent's spear was like the descent of a demonic god, erupting with a terrifying aura. It was as though a mountain was pressing down on it, suppressing its soul, making it almost unable to move. Dong! The tip of the hell spear instantly pierced through its blood-colored hand, creating a large vortex. The lava-like energy could not harm the spear at all. This was also very normal. After all, this hell spear was a weapon that appeared in hell. It had once bathed in the lava of hell. How could a mere Hitorigami fire harm this weapon? Ark! The Hitorigami team leader let out a shrill scream. Its right hand was pierced on the spot. Intense pain spread throughout its body, as though it was being bitten by ants. What frightened it the most was that the aura of hell seeped out from the tip of the spear. It was like a strange kind of gang chi, and it instantly permeated its body. This forced it to use a large amount of energy to resist the aura of hell. This also caused it to lose more than half of its strength, and it could not unleash much of its strength. Bang! Xia Ping slapped the Hitorigami team leader with the back of his hand, immediately sending it flying hundreds of meters away. It smashed through dozens of trees, making cracking sounds, and splinters of wood flew everywhere. In the end, the Hitorigami team leader could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. It smashed into a rock, and dozens of bones in its body were broken. It was in extreme pain. How can he be so strong? The Hitorigami team leader was extremely shocked. Previously, it had looked down on this human that was being hunted. It thought that the 5 major races were making a big fuss over a minor issue. It even thought that the Blackwood race was extremely weak, and that was why they were beaten to such a state by a puny human. However, after experiencing this human's attack, it instantly felt that this human was an extremely great threat. This was a terrifying monster in human skin. If they did not get rid of this human, they would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Let's attack together and kill it. The Blackwood team leader shouted angrily. It saw the opportunity and ordered the soldiers of the 3 major races to surround and attack Xiaoping. The soldiers of the 3 major races looked at each other and instantly attacked. They were all elites and naturally knew how terrifying this human who had killed their team leader with a single move was. The Blackwood race was the first to attack. Dozens of elite soldiers rushed over, and tree branches were like tentacles and also like accurate missiles. They rained down from the sky, sealing off all of Xiaoping's escape routes. It was as if thousands of missiles were launching a blanket attack on an area. Next was the machine race. Their bodies immediately changed shape, and they were like transformers. From every corner of their bodies, extremely sharp blades grew out. At this moment, they were like blade monsters. They spun crazily, and saber light flashed. Terrifying saber chi burst out, and like a storm, it swept over, wanting to mince Xia Ping into pieces. And the most violent was the Hitorigami race. Dozens of Hitorigami elites leaped around like zombies, revealing their ferocious fangs and sharp, poisonous black nails. Chapter 9:59. Star Attraction Technique. In the face of the elite soldiers of the Blackwood race, Hitorigami race, and the mechanical race, Xiaoping was not in a hurry. He took a step forward and displayed the supreme technique he had obtained from the Stars sect, Star Attraction Technique. This was not only a cultivation technique, but it was also an extremely powerful battle technique. He had fused this cultivation technique with the pure Yang immortal art, allowing him to unleash an incredible power. Rumble. At this moment, the whole sky seemed to dim, as if it had fallen into the night. Countless flickering stars appeared in the sky. With Xia Ping's body as the center, an extremely terrifying suction was produced. Like the nucleus of a star, it drew the energy of countless stars in the sky. The stars in the sky seemed to fall at this moment. However, these were not ordinary stars. They were the sun stars that contained the essence of the sun. They were surrounded by terrifying flames and emitted an extremely hot aura. After reaching the 7th heaven of Supreme Power Realm, Xiaoping was more comfortable with using Gang Qi and could control more star energy. In just an instant, hundreds of sun stars fell from the sky, covering an area. Damn, what the hell is this? This is a bit against the rules. He can actually attract the power of the stars. What is the origin of this human? Abnormal. This human is too abnormal. It doesn't make sense at all. The elite soldiers of the Blackwood race, Hitorigami race, and the mechanical race were all stunned. Originally, they planned to chase after Xia Ping aggressively and kill him. Who would have thought that the stars falling from the sky would cause a natural disaster? In the face of such a natural disaster, how could ordinary creatures resist it? But now, even if they wanted to dodge, it was impossible because the speed at which these stars fell was so fast that they could not react. Immediately, hundreds of stars fell, just like meteorites hitting the ground, carrying extremely terrifying collision energy. The airflow was repelled, forming a vacuum area. Bang! Bang! In an instant, hundreds of holes appeared on the ground, which were smashed by the stars. Each hole was hundreds of meters in diameter. The scene was amazing, just like the surface of the moon. The earth trembled, and the shock waves spread out for 5 kilometers. Trees and boulders were all reduced to dust. The mountains shook, and the earth quaked. In fact, some of the smaller mountains in the distance looked like they were going to collapse. On the ground, Hey Moo, Hitorigami, and the machine race were in a miserable state. They bore the brunt of the attack and were immediately smashed into smithereens by the stars in the sky. Their bodies exploded, and they died tragically. Some didn't die, but they were burned to death by the flames on the stars. They turned into fireballs, and after a few breaths, they were burned into charcoal. Damn it! Is he still human? The monsters lurking around the forest, waiting for Xia Ping's orders, including the Cyan Wan, the Crow of Misfortune, Tu Ling Long, and the Metal Tiger, were all stunned. According to the original plan, they would first wait for Xia Ping to test the strength of these demons. If they were weak, everyone would swarm forward and capture all of them. They would then torture them and force out information. If his strength was extraordinary, with Xia Ping's speed, he could easily escape, and everyone could retreat. But now, what was going on? It was just a test, and this guy attacked and beat them half to death and half crippled. He was being unreasonable. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters suddenly felt that they were a burden and were purely here to watch the show. Corinne, who was staying in the Smart Brain, was speechless when he saw this scene. This indigenous human has not practiced star guiding art for a long time, but he can actually fuse star guiding art with other cultivation techniques and increase the power by several times. This could no longer be described as a genius. He was simply an evildoer. He had seen many disciples recruited by the Myriad Stars sect before, and there was no lack of geniuses among them. After all, they were the disciples of the sage, but he had never seen such an extraordinary one. Not to mention that this kid was purely self-taught and had no master to teach him. This was even more abnormal. What are you waiting for? Let's go together and tie them all up. Xia Ping used this move and attacked most of the monsters until they were half dead. He stood with his hands behind his back and didn't plan to continue attacking. Instead, he ordered the other monsters to attack. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hearing this, Cyan Wan, Crow of Misfortune, Metal Tiger, and other monsters immediately rushed out of the jungle and surrounded the soldiers of the 3 major races. Despicable. Why is there an ambush? Shameless human. Aren't you going to fight with fewer people? Why are you calling for helpers? Lowly human. If you have the guts, tell these helpers to leave, and we will fight again. The monsters of the 3 major races were already severely injured by Xia Ping's star guiding art. Their breathing was weak, and the 3 captains were almost unable to speak. Now, this kid actually had helpers, and their number was almost no less than theirs. How could they fight like this? This was no longer a battle, but a one-sided massacre. Fuck you, when you bullied Big Brother Xia. Why didn't you talk about Jianghu morality? Now that you are at a disadvantage, you want to talk about Jianghu morality. You want us to leave and fight again? Why don't you kill yourselves and cry for injustice? Stop talking nonsense. Let's beat them up first. They chased us before, and we were miserable enough. Don't kill them. It's best if they're still breathing. We still have to torture them later. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons shouted. They were extremely ruthless in their attacks against the demons of the 3 major races. They specifically aimed for their vitals and showed no mercy. Bang, bang, bang. The elite soldiers of the Blackwood race, Machine race, and Hitorigami race were immediately beaten up. From head to toe, almost every vulnerable part of their bodies was hit, and they were beaten until they were on the verge of death. They still had the strength to curse before, but now they could not even make a sound. Big Brother, are you satisfied? The Crow of Misfortune came forward and flattered. Half an hour later, all the monsters of the 3 major races were beaten to the point of death. Their hands and feet were tied tightly, and they could hardly move. Not bad. Xia Ping touched his chin and said, but don't kill them. I am very interested in the plan of the 5 major races. It seems to be very dangerous. You have to find out quickly." He had been lying in ambush beside these aliens and heard the conversation of the 3 captains. He knew that the 5 major races seemed to be carrying out a dangerous plan. Once it was successful, the demon race of the Cloud Realm would be in danger of extinction. "Don't worry, big brother. We will definitely find out about this. We will not miss anything." The Crow of Misfortune and other monsters were murderous. After all, the plan of the 5 major races was aimed at the demon race. Chapter 960. Half an hour later, the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters came to Xia Ping's side with serious expressions. "What's wrong? Did you get any news?" Xia Ping asked. The Crow of Misfortune nodded. After a round of torture, although they were reluctant at first, a few of them couldn't stand the torture and confessed some things. They are building the ancestral altar. At this point, its expression suddenly became serious, and it couldn't help but clench its fists. Ancestral altar? Xia Ping blinked, indicating that he didn't know what it meant. The so-called ancestral altar, as the name suggests, is an altar to worship the ancestors. The Crow of Misfortune explained, but this kind of altar is not only used to worship the ancestors, but most importantly, it has the function of blood connection. They can contact each other through the ancestral altar and resonate with each other, no matter how far away they are. It indicated that the monster race also had a similar method. By building the ancestral altar, they could contact the same tribes scattered in all corners of the world. Moreover, this kind of communication could not be stopped at all. It was an extremely advanced method of communication, more powerful than electromagnetic, radio, and other means of communication. However, it was not easy to build an ancestral altar. First, a lot of precious materials were needed. Second, enough race blood was needed, and the power of faith accumulated over a long period of time. When these 3 factors were added together, a successful ancestral altar could be built. Once it was successful, the ancestral altar could contact the ancestral altars scattered in all corners of the universe, and even communicate with each other. "Big Brother Xiao, we must stop this." Yes, once the 5 races successfully build the ancestral altar, we will be finished. Indeed, if they contact their race companions in the universe and let those companions go to Cloud Realm, how can we resist? According to the records of the Wanyao Mountain, the 5 great clans are considered extremely powerful in the universe. Even when the Cloud World was at its peak, the 5 great clans were afraid of them, let alone the Wanyao Mountain that has already declined. It is simply impossible to resist the invasion of the 5 great clans. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters looked very solemn. They all knew the seriousness of this matter. If it was not handled well, they might really die. No one knew how powerful the 5 races were in the universe. Perhaps they could casually send an army to wipe out all living beings in the Cloud Realm dozens of times over. Hearing this, Xiaoping's eyes also revealed a trace of cold light. If the companions of the 5 clans really came from the universe, then it would not only be a matter of the Wanyao Mountain, but also a matter of the creatures of the entire Cloud Realm. After all, he couldn't guess what the 5 races were thinking. Even if the main culprit that caused the creatures of the 5 great races to be imprisoned in the cage was the Wanyao Mountain, who knew whether or not they would vent their anger on the humans. Even if they didn't vent their anger on him, would they want to occupy this mysterious land in the universe after seeing the existence of the Cloud Realm? In this way, a serious conflict with the humans was inevitable. This ancestral altar, where they built? Xiaoping asked. The Crow of Misfortune immediately said, "It's at the peak of the tallest mountain in this secret realm. This mountain is called Ancient Turtle Mountain. It's 13,000 meters tall." It said that the altar was usually built on the top of the mountain. That place had a wide field of vision, and there was nothing blocking it. At the same time, it gathered rich qi of heaven and earth, and could also receive the power of the stars in the sky. It was an excellent place to build an altar. Then what are we waiting for? Go and destroy that altar immediately. Xiaoping immediately said. Things like this that could threaten the peace and safety of the humans would be destroyed immediately. He would never give the other party a chance to make a big mistake. We also want to destroy it, but according to these monsters, the altar is heavily guarded, and there are even King Realm Monster Kings around. If we dare to destroy it, we will die. Metal Tiger said helplessly, indicating that there were monster kings around the altar. They really wanted to go and destroy that damn altar immediately, but the existence of monster kings made them retreat. After all, Monster King Realm cultivators were too powerful. For small monsters like them who were only at the Master Realm, if they dared to enter the altar built by the other party, they would definitely be killed, and even their souls would be destroyed. Monster Kings? Xiaoping clenched his fists. Cultivators of this level were much more powerful than Master Realm cultivators. They were simply two different levels of existence and could not be mentioned in the same breath. If he did not rely on the power of the super spaceship and the power of technology, he could only run away in the face of such a terrifying expert. Now that Xiaoping did not have a spaceship with him, it was very difficult to fight against a Monster King. Not to mention that there was not only one Monster King among the 5 major races. There might be more than 5, or even more. Haha, do you know fear now? Hearing these words, Hitorigami said proudly, "We are about to finish building the altar, and soon we will be able to contact our companions in the depths of the universe. When the army comes, none of you can escape. I advise you to surrender now. Don't continue to resist stubbornly. Release us, provide us with good food and drink, and treat us like your ancestors. When our companions in the depths of the universe arrive, you may still have a chance to live and be our slaves. Otherwise, you will definitely die without a burial place, never to be reincarnated." It was arrogant, as if it had Xiaoping and the others under its control. Dong! Xiaoping made a move and knocked out the Hitorigami team leader with a punch. His head was red and swollen. "Imprison all these monsters," Xiaoping ordered. "Imprison?" The Green Luan raised a doubt. "I heard that the metal machinery race has a mysterious electromagnetic wave connection between them. If they are placed beside us, I'm afraid they will discover us and expose our location." She felt that once their location was exposed to the 5 major races, they might really be wiped out by the Great Army. Therefore, she hoped to kill all the captives of the 3 major races to prevent future troubles. Damn, a woman's heart is the most vicious. Hearing these words, the captives of the Blackwood race, Hitorigami race, and Machinery race all cursed in their hearts. Their faces turned green. If Xiaoping really listened to this be *TCH, wouldn't they all be dead? Chapter 961. Human, don't listen to this bitch. Her heart is black even if you dig it out. She's very vicious. A Drought Crow soldier hurriedly shouted. He hoped that Xiaoping would be wise and not listen to the pillow talk of this treacherous concubine. This was basically a harem interfering in politics. The consequences were rather severe. "That's right. Leave us here. We're very useful." A Blackwood soldier wailed. "That's right. We robots don't have that so-called mysterious connection at all. This is just a rumor." The robot soldiers expressed that they were very obedient and had no way of communicating with other robot soldiers. They all hoped that Xiaoping would think twice. "Don't worry." Xiaoping stood with his hand behind his back and said calmly, "I won't kill you. A good person like me is hard to find in this world." He put on a look as if he was a good person. "Human, thank you. Thank you so much. I knew humans were good creatures, unlike these demons. They're all cunning and evil. They're no different from their ancestors. All of them are so bad that they're oozing pus." The creatures of the 3 major races all said gratefully. They lashed out at the demons and gritted their teeth. Clearly, they hated Xiaoping to the core and had a blood feud with him. However, they also hated Xiaoping to the core. Once their companions came, they would definitely capture this human and tear him to pieces to vent their hatred for being captured and humiliated. However, on the surface, they were still submissive, as if they had been completely suppressed by Xiaoping. Hearing this, the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons were all infuriated. They wanted nothing more than to beat up the creatures of the 3 major races and teach them a lesson. "You're too polite. There's no need to be so polite here." Xiaoping waved his hand. You're still very useful. Men, lock them up. Yes, lock them up in this cave. Also, hide these nuclear bombs around the cave. If other demons come to help, take the opportunity to press the button and destroy them all in one fell swoop. He took out a lot of miniature nuclear bombs from his body, which were stored in his spatial ring. After all, he always kept quite a number of such conventional weapons. Once he used them, he would immediately buy them to replenish them. After all, this amount of money was nothing to Xiaoping. What? Upon hearing these words, the creatures of the Blackwood race, Hitorigami race, and the machine race were all dumbfounded. F***CK, his grandpa. No wonder this bastard human was so polite to them, and even said that he wouldn't kill them. It turned out that he was planning to use them as bait to attract more of his companions and kill them all at once. Bastard, this human was even more vicious than that female demon. He was 100 times more vicious. They were basically in cahoots with each other. To think that they thought this human was good and had some humanity. Now that they saw it, they really wanted to slap themselves. They had actually praised this human who knew how many times. It was really too embarrassing. Yes, big brother Xia. When the crows of misfortune and the other demons heard that, their eyes lit up. Without needing Xiaoping's instructions, they went forward one by one, captured the demons, and placed them in the cave. At the same time, they also took the miniature nuclear bombs that Xiaoping handed over and placed them in various corners of the cave to maximize their power. Once they exploded, they would be able to send monsters flying and none of them would be able to escape. Bitch, let's go. Let's go immediately. A Blackwood demon struggled and shouted, Demon human, you actually want to use us as bait to attract your companions. Why is your heart so black? What grudge do we have with you? Our companions will never be fooled. You should give up on this idea. Hurry up and let us go. Otherwise, when our plan succeeds, all of you will die. You will die. Do you understand? The demons of the 3 major races all shouted crazily. Gaggermouths. It's very noisy, Xiaoping said lazily. Yes, big brother Xia. The crows of misfortune and the other demons nodded and moved in a flurry. They stuffed their smelly socks directly into the mouths of the demons, blocking their mouths so that they could no longer speak nonsense. This demon, Tu Linglong, was dumbfounded. If they were clearly here for the trial, how did this abominable human carry so many miniature nuclear bombs with him? How could he let them live? What made her blush the most was that in addition to carrying nuclear bombs, this beast actually brought 2 sets of maid costumes. Oh my God, what is this human thinking? Does he have any shame? An hour later, Xiaoping and the others returned to the original secret cave. As for the captured demons of the 3 major races, they stayed in another place. If any demons came to rescue them, the demons lying in ambush in that place would immediately detonate the miniature nuclear bombs, killing all the demons and reducing the enemy's strength. This is a little troublesome. Xiaoping touched his chin. The plan just now was just child's play. Even if they killed some demons, it would not help the overall situation. The most important thing now was to stop the construction of the ancestor altar of the 5 major races. Once the plan of the 5 major races succeeded, the entire human race in the Cloud Realm would be in danger. At that time, this group of cruel alien army would press on the border. Who knew how many people would be killed or injured? Perhaps the entire human race in the Cloud Realm would be enslaved. The problem was that it was very difficult to destroy the ancestor altar of the 5 major races. The other party still had king-level cultivators guarding that place. If they rashly went there, they would simply be courting death. It seems that I have to enhance my strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, I won't be able to destroy the plan of the 5 major races. A sense of urgency surged in Xiaoping's heart. He wanted to enhance his strength as soon as possible. Although the strength of the 7th heaven of Supreme Power Realm was considered good, there was still a certain gap compared with the king-level cultivators. However, he had just advanced, and his martial arts foundation had not been completely stabilized. It was still difficult for him to advance again. He had to spend a lot of time honing his martial arts skills and stabilizing his martial arts foundation in order to make a breakthrough. Time, I still lack time. Xiaoping clenched his fists. Stupid. At this time, Corinne suddenly jumped out and reprimanded. Since you realize this, why don't you log on to the universe virtual network? Isn't the existence of this thing to assist your cultivation? The universe virtual network? Hearing this, Xiaoping's eyes suddenly lit up. It was true. 10 days in the virtual network was equivalent to 1 day in the real world. Moreover, there was not much difference between cultivating in the virtual network and cultivating in the real world. Chapter 962. Xiaoping stayed in a cave and got into a closed-door training state. Then, he used the AI to log into the universe virtual network. Even in this secret world, there was no way to stop him from logging into the virtual network. There was still a good signal. Whoosh! In the next second, his figure appeared in the novice village of the Marshall Path space. It was the same square as last time, and the surroundings were incomparably wide. At this time, there were many little boys and little Lolas around the square. They were punching with vigor and vigor, displaying extremely exquisite moves. Every punch and kick produced a whistling sound. The power of the fists was endless and extremely shocking. From afar, they looked like little beasts in human form. After so many days, those who wanted to find trouble with Xiaoping had left one after another. After all, they couldn't just stay here and guard this place. They had their own things to do. If Xiaoping didn't appear for a year, wouldn't they have to wait here for a year? Therefore, when this group of people saw that Xiaoping didn't appear for such a long time, they thought that Xiaoping had already absconded with the money. Therefore, they didn't send anyone to stay here and let this group of children re-enter the virtual network to receive training in the novice village. Look, that Aboriginal big brother is here. Suddenly, a little lowly in the crowd saw Xiaoping appear in this place and immediately shouted loudly, "It really is the Aboriginal big brother." He appeared again. Don't go near him. My mom said that he's a big liar. Yeah. My sister also said that the Aboriginal is a super liar. Good children must not go near him, or they will definitely be cheated of all their money. Previously, because of this liar Aboriginal, my mom beat me up. My butt hurts. She even said that the Wong family had such a stupid child. Many children looked at Xiaoping in fear, as if they were looking at a plague. All of them retreated and stopped their morning training. Hello, everyone. Xiaoping walked up and greeted the many children. Not good. We are not good at all. Liar Aboriginal. Hurry up and return our hard-earned money. The little Lolas, Yi Jia, rushed up angrily. She puffed up her cheeks and put her hands on her hips. Her big eyes were watery. Who told you I'm a liar? Xiaoping revealed a look of being wronged. My sister said so. The little lowly Yi Jia said with her hands on her waist. I heard it from my father. I heard it from my mother. My brother said it. The little boys and Lolas answered obediently. Xiaoping nodded and asked, Then I want to ask, are the words of your sister, your father, your mother, and your brother always right? This. The little lowly Yi Jia was stunned, and she did not know what to say. Many little Lolas and young boys were dumbfounded. That's right. Are the words of their parents and sisters always correct? If it's not right, could it be wrong? The little lowly Yi Jia revealed a confused expression. Xiaoping asked, Why must what they say be correct? I'll give you an example. Have you ever been forced to eat food you don't like? Have you ever been forced to wake up early every morning? Have you ever been forced to learn martial arts seriously? Did you think it was the right thing to do then? He looked at the many children. Yes, I was once forced to eat green peppers. I obviously don't like to eat green peppers, but the bad mother always forced me to eat it, saying that it is good for the body. A little boy said angrily, That's right, me too. I obviously want to sleep in every morning, but I'm always forced to wake up. It's too much. As a child, I have dark circles under my eyes. A little lowly also agreed with this point. That's right. They also said that we children should go to bed early every day, and they never let us play until late. They also limited the time we can watch TV, but they watch TV until late. This is simply a double standard. Why can adults do whatever they want? A group of children protested. Their faces were filled with anger. So, now you know that what they said might not be true. Xiaoping spread out his hands. Truth be told, if you don't like to eat green peppers, then don't eat them. What's wrong with being picky about food? It's fine as long as you eat your fill. If you want to sleep in, then sleep in. If you don't get enough sleep, how can you attend class seriously and study properly? When the time comes, you will still doze off in class, affecting your learning efficiency. So, you're the right thing to do, and your parents are the wrong thing to do. Hearing this, the group of children came to a sudden realization. They looked at Xiaoping as if they were looking at a confidant. Big brother native, I feel that what you said makes a lot of sense. What you've said has really struck a chord in my heart. Those bad parents don't understand our feelings at all. Only you do. Native big brother, you are simply a talent. You speak so well. I like being with you the most. The group of little kids looked at Xiaoping with admiration. They felt that Xiaoping was a roundworm in their hearts and knew everything. To be honest, I'm not criticizing your parents. I'm just making a suggestion. Their education has long been outdated. This era has been tens of thousands of years old. It's rotten and disappointing. This way, you will move forward in the wrong life. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and sighed to the sky. But it doesn't matter. You're still young. You can still turn around in time. I can give you some guidance in life, which will benefit you a lot. The group of children did not say anything. They looked at Xiaoping eagerly, hoping to benefit from it. Humans are creatures. As long as they are serious, they can do anything. Xiaoping said carelessly, "Of course, it doesn't matter if you can't do it because it's not your fault at all. It's the fault of this society. Anyway, just push all the responsibility to society. It's all its fault. You are not wrong. When you encounter something annoying, difficult, or hesitant, just run away. Running away is not a shameful thing. It's just a strategic retreat. At this time, running away is victory. Reaping without sowing is the right thing. What's wrong with daydreaming? What's wrong with sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor? There are good things like meat pies falling from the sky. Just accept it with peace of mind. In short, you just have to remember one thing. It will never be us who are wrong. It's the fault of this society and the fault of this universe. Push the responsibility to them, and we could be relaxed forever. This is the law of ease in life. After learning it, you will definitely benefit a lot in the future." Chapter 963. I'm not the one at fault, but the world. That makes sense. I'm suddenly enlightened. Indeed, I'm not at fault at all. It's all the world's fault. When I think about it this way, my mood suddenly becomes much more relaxed. Amazing. No matter what I do, I can use this rule of life. I feel that my whole body is relaxed and my mood is very happy. The group of children looked at Xiaoping with admiration. They felt that this rule of life was too amazing. It was simply right in their hearts. They believed that if they used this rule of life frequently in the future, their lives would become even more relaxed. You're too polite. You don't have to be too grateful to me. This is just some insignificant advice from me as a senior in life. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, revealing the demeanor of an expert. All right, I still have something to do. I won't disturb your morning training. He wanted to go to the lecture hall to accept a mission and hone his martial arts skills. After all, this was the purpose of his trip to the virtual space. He wanted to break through to a higher realm as soon as possible. Okay, Native Big Brother, take care. Since Native Big Brother has something to do, we won't disturb you. The group of children waved at Xiaoping. All of them were very obedient and sensible. Xiaoping nodded and turned to leave. He walked toward the lecture hall, his figure quickly disappearing in front of the children. Strange, did we forget something? Didn't we ask Native Big Brother for his hard-earned money? Seeing Xiaoping leave, the little lowly Yi Jia said with a face full of doubt. She felt that they had been tricked by that native brother again. How could they have forgotten to ask for money from him in the middle of their conversation? Don't worry. We lent this money to the native big brother anyway. That's right. This is just pocket money. We get a lot of it every year. That's right. The native big brother is not a liar at all. His words are nice and reasonable. If only he could be our teacher. He would definitely make us sleep in during class and be late for class. Unfortunately, those teachers are all very old-fashioned and unreasonable. They are too hateful. They only know how to bully us children. Previously, I was late for class and was punished to stand. Oh no, we're going to class soon. Hurry up and go offline. The group of children was in a mess. They hurriedly went offline because they were going to be late for class. Soon, the little lowly Yi Jia went offline and returned home. Then, she ran to the living room and happily ate breakfast. Jia, how are your studies recently? Her elder sister, Yi Meng Yao, asked from the side. Her expression was elegant, noble, and generous. Her body emitted the temperament of a noble young lady, which was pleasing to the eye. It was obvious that she had received a good education. She elegantly tore a piece of bread into pieces, feeling very happy, just like a lark outside the window. It's all right. Yi Jia nodded obediently. Then, she recalled something. By the way, big sister, just now I met that aboriginal big brother again in the Marshall Dow space. What? Hearing this, Yi Mengyao was shocked and quickly asked, Jia, we didn't get scammed by that swindler, did you? Are there any missing organs in your body? She was very nervous. More than a month had passed, and the swindler should have absconded with the money. She had planned to put a national warrant for the swindler, but she did not expect that he would dare to appear again. He had even come to his sister's side. This scoundrel liar was simply like a haunting ghost. If he didn't lie to a child, this scoundrel liar would feel uncomfortable all over. Her originally happy and relaxed mood had now disappeared in an instant. We weren't cheated of money. Instead, he taught us a lot of life principles. Yi Jia said excitedly. Then, she narrated what happened this morning in full detail. Life principles. The more she heard her sister's words, the darker Yi Mingyao's face became. In the end, her face was as black as charcoal. Bitch! Yi Mingyao cursed. She was so angry that she almost died. This was a *T life principle. It was clearly a wastrel principle. If she really did what this scoundrel liar did, there was no doubt that her sister would become a wastrel in life. She would often stay at home and live off her parents. When she encountered something, she would escape and say that it was not her fault, but the fault of the society. If this wasn't the society's wastrel, what was it? Was there anyone who taught people like this? Moreover, he wanted to reap without sowing. He was daydreaming. He wanted to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. This showed that this scoundrel wanted to become a wastrel. He was a typical social parasite. It would have been fine if she was a wastrel. But the problem was that this scoundrel wanted to make her sister a wastrel. This was absolutely intolerable. Before, it was just to cheat money. Now, he wanted to make her sister fall. This scoundrel had become even worse. Was he not willing to become an ordinary liar? Sister, where is that scoundrel? Yi Mengyao gritted her teeth. Without a doubt, if that Wuwudi appeared here, she would definitely pounce on him and strangle him to death. Then, she would save him, strangle him to death, and save him again. She would do this a few times and make him wish he was dead. Yi Jia blinked her big eyes. Sister, that native big brother isn't a liar. He taught me a lot of things. I think what he said makes sense. It was over. This time, her sister had been completely brainwashed. If this continued, it would be terrible. Thinking about how her sister would be influenced by this scoundrel in the future, staying at home all day playing games, watching TV, and watching anime. She didn't want to go out of her room and became a squat at home. If she had no money, she would ask her family for money. She didn't work either. When she encountered problems, she would escape. When she encountered setbacks, she would say that it was the fault of society. She didn't know how to reflect on herself. Yi Mengyao felt that her head was getting bigger and her future was bleak. This scoundrel harmed others and herself. He actually began to spread his evil thoughts and affect the next generation of outstanding young people. This scoundrel deserved to be killed. Before, he was just scamming money. Now, he was actually scamming hearts. Yi Mengyao gritted her teeth. Sister, go to class and study hard. Leave this matter to me. In short, I will make that native suffer. He actually dares to appear. He wants to cause trouble the moment he appears. He even wants to harm my cute, kind, and smart sister. He wants to make her fall and become a wastrel. This damn native is really bold. Her entire body emitted a black aura. She was filled with resentment like a ghost. Cold wind blew around her, showing her terrifying killing intent. Chapter 964. Yi Mingyao immediately spread the news, letting all the great families know that Wu Wudi, the liar, had appeared again. Furthermore, he was trying to turn the descendants of the great families into good-for-nothings and spread extremely evil ideas. She hoped that the great families would be vigilant and not let this guy succeed. What? That liar Wu Wudi has appeared again? Damn it, he really has guts. Didn't he learn his lesson last time? Lesson my ass. It was clearly him who taught us a lesson. How could he have learned his lesson? Damn it, it really is like that. This time, we must let that kid taste the power of our great families. Immediately mobilize a large number of people and enter the novice village. Beat that kid up so badly that he doesn't dare to show his face again. Yes, beat him up every time we see him. Don't be polite. Many people from the various clans were gnashing their teeth in anger. They had thought that the brat had already left with his tail between his legs and absconded with the money. They didn't expect that he would still dare to appear so brazenly. He was really too bold. He was simply looking down on all the great clans. If they didn't teach that kid a lesson this time, what face would they have left? Therefore, the great families immediately contacted their subordinates and sent some of their elites in. At the same time, they arranged a perfect plan. This time, they had to stop Wu Wudi and teach him a lesson. At this moment, many of Yi Mingyao's sisters also heard the news in her chat group. Scumbag. After hearing Yi Mingyao's words, one of her sisters immediately cursed. Bullsh asterisk T life is easy. I've never seen such a useless person. Giving up when things happen, trying to shirk responsibility. If everyone did this, would there still be elites in our human race? Would there still be geniuses? This kind of thinking is really too useless. If it were to spread, who knows how many young people would be poisoned? This is a mental crow, self-deception. That Wu Wudi is simply a super piece of work. She was very angry and hated Wu Wudi. She felt that this guy was extremely dangerous. Ordinary liars only swindled money. At most, they would lose a portion of their money. Some people would learn from their mistakes and rein in before it was too late. Next time, they would basically not fall for it. But this bastard, if he lied, he would lie for a lifetime. He was extremely dangerous. I have a cousin in my family. She had a bright future, but she suddenly fell in love with watching TV, watching anime, and playing games. She stayed at home all day and didn't go out or practice martial arts. Now she's a homebody, living off her parents all day. She even said that as long as there's a virtual network, it's fine even if she doesn't need to go out. She also orders takeout from home. After eating and sleeping all day, I'm no different from Pig. My weight has also increased by dozens of kilograms. A woman in white gritted her teeth and said, after teaching her a little lesson, she said that it wasn't her fault, but the fault of the society. It was the society that made her like this. She wouldn't listen no matter what I said. She had already turned from a genius girl into a complete loser. Her parents were extremely disappointed in her and didn't care about her anymore. Previously, I was wondering why she became like this. Maybe she was bewitched by this despicable Wu Wudi. Who knows how many promising young people he has corrupted behind her back. He's simply a cancer in the universe. She was filled with righteous indignation as she spoke of the examples that had happened around her. It can't be. Your family's cousin is like this. My family's cousin has also become like this. He was a bright and cute young man, but now he's become a fat homebody. He even said that he doesn't like realistic girls. Oh my God, some of the young people in my family have become like this too. They're all mysterious all day and only appear at night. Could it be that this isn't an isolated case, but a widespread example that has become a problem in society? How many young people has this bastard used this evil idea to poison, making them abandon themselves and give up their superior lives? When did our family fall into his hands? Maybe this guy isn't just a swindler at all. He might even be the leader of an evil religion. He came to the novice village to corrupt the children and develop believers. The so-called swindling money is just one of his ways to make money. Damn it, this Wu Wudi deserves to be punished. Be asterisk starred. He won't even let the children off. A group of girls chattered. They were all incomparably angry. They didn't think that there would be such a dangerous person in the world. If they didn't stop it, It might become a crisis that would flood the entire universe, causing the decline of one family after another. More importantly, they saw their own family members abandoning themselves to depravity, and they felt bitter and hateful. Mengyao. At this point, a girl gritted her teeth and said, "This time we must get rid of this big tumor of the universe. We must not let his evil ideas continue to spread. Otherwise, the number of useless people in our family will continue to increase." Hearing this, Yi Mengyao was a bit embarrassed, but that bastard purposely destroyed his own cultivation and stayed in the novice village. Relying on his strength, he ran amok in the novice village. Many people can't do anything to him. She felt that this person's skin was extremely thick, the kind that even a Star Destroyer cannon couldn't penetrate. He stayed in the novice village all day and dominated the novice village. He didn't leave the novice village and enjoyed the pleasure of bullying noobs. If Xiaoping stayed here, he would definitely feel very innocent. He didn't purposely stay in the novice village. It was just that he didn't have enough strength. How could he purposely stay in the novice village? "It's okay." The girl laughed coldly and said, "I knew there would be such shameless people in the world. I have a seal on me. As long as I carry it on me, I don't need to destroy my own cultivation to suppress my cultivation below the mortal realm. When the time comes, you can enter and leave the novice village at will. You don't need to worry about being expelled from the universe virtual network." Hearing this, Yi Mengyao was instantly overjoyed. If she could obtain this seal, then she could personally enter the novice village and beat up that bastard Wu Wudi. She wouldn't need to let her useless subordinates do anything. She believed that with the strength of the Yi family's holy maiden, beating up a liar would be a piece of cake. "I'll immediately get the Universe Express Company to send this seal to you. You must catch that despicable bastard and beat him up to get rid of the scourge for the people." The girl couldn't stand Wu Wudi for even a second. She had already blamed the reason for her cute cousin's fall to Wu Wudi. If it wasn't for that guy's evil ideas, her cute and talented cousin wouldn't have abandoned herself to stay at home all day playing games and living off her parents. Chapter 965. At this moment, Xiaoping appeared in front of the martial arts school. Whoosh! Just as he pushed through the door of the martial arts school, a white-bearded old man appeared in front of him. He had a sage-like demeanor and was a highly respected person. This old man is the village chief here. "May I ask what this little friend wants?" The white-bearded old man asked. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. "I want to participate in the martial arts school's trial. Little friend's trial is over, but there's a mission here. I don't know if you're willing to accept it or not." The white-bearded old man smiled slightly. "Mission?" Xiaoping froze and looked at the white-bearded old man. "Quickly accept it." At this time, Corinne secretly said excitedly, "This is the novice village's hidden mission. Only people who reach a certain level of requirements can receive it. Once it is completed, there will definitely be generous rewards. Some rewards may be saint-level martial arts, or some kind of amazing inheritance, or even some kind of precious elixir, secret medicine, etc. In short, the value is amazing. It means that after completing the novice village's hidden mission, there will definitely be amazing rewards. It is unknown how many people want to receive such a mission, but there is no way. This requires certain opportunities and requirements." "What mission?" Xiaoping immediately asked. "This village has been harassed by the bandit leader One-Eyed Dragon. The other party has been causing trouble for many years. I don't know how many villagers have been killed by him." The white-bearded old man looked at Xiaoping and said, "I heard that little friend's martial arts are high, and your strength is astonishing. If you can eliminate this group of bandits, kill the bandit leader, One-Eyed Wolf, get rid of evil for the people, and return peace to this world, our village will definitely be grateful to little friend. In the future, we will definitely reward you handsomely." He cupped his hands towards Xiaoping, very serious. "Kill the bandit leader, One-Eyed Wolf." Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect there to be such a character. It is estimated that this is a virtual character of this virtual space, not a real creature. This is also a test. Once completed, just like the previous assessment, he may get a lot of rewards. Moreover, he can also use this mission to fight with many experts and sharpen his martial arts cultivation base. He has to say that this is a mission that kills two birds with one stone. Don't worry. Thinking of this, Xiaoping patted his chest and said, "Just leave this task to me. As for that bandit leader, One-Eyed Wolf, I promise to capture him easily and kill him quickly." Hearing this, the village chief was very satisfied. "Then I'll leave it to you, little friend." Xiaoping turned around and left the martial arts school, heading out of the village. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, just as Xiaoping was about to leave the freshman village, quite a number of figures appeared on the village's public square. They were densely packed together, and there were at least a dozen of them. These people were all fierce-looking. They were tall and burly, and their faces were ferocious. Some of them had scars, tattoos, and other things on their bodies. With one look, one could tell that they were not good people. It was as if they had walked out from a bandit's nest. "Look, isn't that woo-woody? Ha! I've searched the ends of the earth to no avail, only to find it by chance. This is great. I've just been teleported in, and I've already seen this brat. Even the heavens are helping me. It saves us the effort of looking for him. What a coincidence. Let's go over and capture that brat and beat him up." This is also part of the employer's task. Quite a number of people also saw Xiaoping. They were all local ruffians hired by the big families. They were specially hired to deal with Xiaoping, and they had spent a lot of money. As the saying went, if you took someone's money, you had to help them eliminate disasters. When they saw Xiaoping appear, they of course surrounded him and planned to complete the employer's task. "Wait, good dogs don't block the way." Xiaoping planned to leave the village, but a group of people in front of him suddenly blocked his way forward. They were all tall and burly, like layers of walls. They surrounded the road tightly, and there was almost no space for him to leave. Suddenly, he was very dissatisfied. "What?" Hearing these words, these people's faces turned green. What did he mean by good dogs don't block the way? He was clearly calling them dogs. This brat clearly saw that they had so many people, and they had the advantage in numbers, but he still dared to scold them. "Brat, you're really bold. You actually dare to scold us. Do you know how many eyes I have?" A 2-meter-tall giant man clenched his fists and looked at Xiaoping with a ferocious expression. His whole body emitted a shocking killing intent. Clearly, he was a murderer who had climbed out of a pile of corpses. If ordinary people saw him, they would have long been scared out of their wits. They would not be able to speak in front of such a murderous maniac. Such a killing intent was almost tangible. Bang! Without waiting for the giant man to finish speaking, Xiaoping slapped him without even looking. Unmovable Buddha's palm. This palm was like the descent of Buddha. It erupted with golden light. Earth energy condensed into a substance, and golden light shot out in all directions. It was as if the palm was cast from gold, and the lines on it were clear. Vaguely, there was the sound of Sanskrit, as if thousands of Buddhas were chanting. It had the flavor of salvation. The giant man didn't even have time to react and was sent flying by the slap. His huge body was sent flying like a chicken in the face of this slap. Ah! Immediately, the giant man let out a shrill scream. His body suffered a huge force like a flood. The bones in his body made cracking sounds, and in an instant, more than a dozen bones were broken. His whole body flew out, flying dozens of meters in the air, and finally smashed into the wall of the village, creating a huge human-shaped hole. Gravel flew everywhere, and dust billowed. At this moment, he could no longer speak. A large amount of blood was spat out from the corner of his mouth. "I told you not to block, so don't block. Why are you still babbling here? Do you not understand human language? You have to make me hit you to hear what I'm saying. Tell me, don't you deserve a beating?" Xiaoping looked down at the giant man with dissatisfaction. He felt that this guy really did not know how to appreciate favors. He was clearly blocking his way, but he was still talking so arrogantly here. Did he really think that others had time to listen to his nonsense? He did not know how to read the atmosphere at all. "You." Hearing these words, the giant man was half dead with anger. He was so angry that he spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. It was clearly this shameless bastard who hurt people. He did not follow the rules of Jianghu at all. Now he pushed all the blame to himself, as if he was not in the wrong at all, and it was all his fault. It was extremely shameless. Who else? Who else dares to block my way? Jump out now and try. If I can't kill you with 3 punches, I, Wu Woody, will change my surname from now on. Chapter 966. Arrogant. A green-robed man snorted and stared at Xia Ping coldly. You think you're invincible just because you defeated one person? If I don't teach you a lesson today, I won't know how big the universe is. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, he flipped his hand, and with a snapping sound, transparent threads intertwined with each other, turning into a huge net that covered the sky and covered the sun. Under the illumination of the sun and the sky, the originally transparent threads suddenly burst into flames. Each thread turned red, as if they were cast from molten lava. The transparent net had now become a huge net of flames. Each thread was a condensed flame energy, containing terrifying destructive power. Oh my God, isn't this the fire silkworm net? In order to deal with such a native, they're actually willing to take out such a treasure. How generous! How generous! Someone suddenly exclaimed. The so-called fire silkworm net was made from a kind of divine insect in the universe, called the fire silkworm. It spat out silk from time to time. This kind of silk was extremely tough. Even ordinary divine weapons would find it difficult to cut it. Furthermore, the silk contained fire energy and was extremely powerful. Once it exploded, it could instantly burn an object into ashes. This fire silkworm net was obviously made from this kind of silk. It inherited the power of the fire silkworm. Obviously, the power of this treasure was extremely terrifying and could not be underestimated. Looks like this kid is dead for sure. He actually forced someone to take out a treasure. How can he escape? A treasure can multiply the combat power of a person. He's no match for it barehanded. Looks like the reward this time should be obtained by this green-robed man. What a pity. I wonder what kind of treatment this kid will receive after he's captured. Is there need to ask? He's offended so many big families. It'll be hard for him to die, even if he wants to. The surrounding people discussed, their eyes flickering. They all thought that once this treasure was taken out, this kid Wu Woody would either die or be crippled. There was no way he could survive. Because in the game, the difference between someone who had a treasure and someone who had nothing was too big. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Oh, you can even take out prized artifacts in the virtual space? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Corinne replied, It is not a brilliant artifact, but this brilliant artifact itself is a magical weapon of the martial arts space. You also know that the entire martial arts space is actually equivalent to a huge virtual game, in which you can also kill monsters to obtain treasures. If you complete the mission, not only can you obtain saint-level martial arts, but you can also obtain powerful game treasures. Although I cannot bring these prized artifacts out into the virtual space by relying on these weapons, I could be like a fish in water in the martial space. My strength will increase greatly, allowing me to complete more tasks and obtain more benefits. Of course, obtaining the prized artifact of the martial Dao space is no simple matter. It requires a great deal of time and a great price. Even if many people want to obtain it, they are incapable of doing so. It indicated that in the martial arts space, one could also obtain virtual treasures, but these virtual treasures were extremely rare, incomparably difficult to obtain, and their value was astonishing. Die! The cyan-clothed man angrily shouted, and the fire silkworm silk net enveloped down from the sky, sealing the sky and locking the earth, covering an area of almost 1 kilometer. It completely enveloped Xia Ping, wanting to capture him alive. His face revealed a trace of coldness. He was confident of his victory, because this fire silkworm silk net was a priceless treasure that he had finally obtained after paying a huge price. It was not only constructed from the silk spat out by the fire silkworm, but it had also been refined by a powerhouse. Numerous mysterious runes had been added on it, making it incomparably mysterious and extremely tough. Once it enveloped the enemy would basically be unable to escape, just like catching a turtle in a jar. At the same time, it also possessed extremely strong destructive power. If he operated the power in his body and activated the energy of this big net, he could instantly burn the enemy to ashes, leaving nothing behind. Whoosh! Xiaoping used Kuan Peng steps, and his feet stepped in a strange pattern, wanting to dodge this fire silkworm silk net. It's useless. My fire silkworm silk net blots out the sky and covers the earth, covering a radius of 1 kilometer. You're already within my blockade range. Even if you want to escape, it will be futile. You should quickly surrender and strive for leniency, and perhaps you will have a chance. Otherwise, if you're caught by me, your family will definitely increase your punishment. The green-clothed man sneered, unceasingly striking at Xiaoping's confidence. At the same time, the fire silkworm silk net expanded even more, and countless red flame lines burst out, covering the sky and covering the earth. The entire sky seemed to have transformed into a sea of fire. The surrounding people didn't dare to approach at all, because this kind of fire wasn't an ordinary fire, but the fire essence. It had boundless power, and it could kill without blinking. If an ordinary person were to approach and come into contact with this fire essence, they would immediately be burned into innumerable pieces. At this moment, the fire filled the sky, and the temperature rose rapidly by tens of hundreds of degrees. It was incomparably hot, and even the air was distorted. Indistinctly, in this kind of heat wave, there seemed to be an undying phoenix dancing. Since there is no way to escape, then there is no need to escape at all. Xiaoping snorted coldly. He suddenly stopped moving, and with a slap of his hand, he slapped the fire silkworm silk net over. Immediately, a powerful vortex of stellar energy appeared on his right hand, and it rotated clockwise, producing an extremely strong suction force, like a black hole in the depths of the universe. What kind of power is this? The green-robed man was immediately shocked, and his pupils shrank. He clearly saw that this palm of Xiaoping's contained an extremely terrifying spiral force, and it produced a frightening suction force. As the stellar energy rotated unceasingly, his fire silkworm silk net actually tightened unceasingly, and it quickly curled into a ball, as if it was about to be taken away by Xiaoping with one hand. Even the fire essence that could burn and destroy everything seemed to have no effect on this kid. On the contrary, this guy's 108,000 pores breathed, and he swallowed it like a whale nibbling away. In the time of a few breaths, the fire essence seemed to have been swallowed into his body and was completely absorbed. This is a joke, right? The fire silkworm silk net actually has no effect on this kid, and he destroyed it cleanly with just a few punches and kicks. Many people were dumbfounded, and they felt that this kind of power was really too terrifying. This wasn't a human, but simply a child of a legendary primordial fierce beast. One must know that this was a precious weapon, and it contained the fire essence. Now, it was actually caught by a single hand, and he was trying to take away this fire silkworm silk net and make it his own. Stop! This fire silkworm silk net is mine. The green-robed man was shocked and angry at the same time. He felt that the treasure on his body was in danger of being lost, and he immediately shouted in anger. Get lost! Chapter 967. Dong! Xiaoping's punch was extremely terrifying. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down, almost turning the surroundings into a vacuum. The air was expelled in all directions and condensed into a substance. After reaching the seventh heaven of the Supreme Power Realm, his strength, speed, and Gang Chi were incomparable. Even if he were to deal with a cultivator at the peak of the Supreme Power Realm, it would be a piece of cake for him. The punch really had the feeling that the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Ah! The man in cyan let out a shrill scream. His chest was firmly hit by the punch. It was as if he had been trampled by an ancient barbaric elephant. His whole body was smashed to pieces. He felt severe pain all over his body. It seemed that every bone in his body was broken, producing an extremely severe pain. Even a woman giving birth would not be so painful. No, I can't die like this. This precious weapon belongs to me. The man in cyan let out a scream. He did not care much about his death. After all, it was not a real death in the virtual world. What he was worried about was the fire silk net in his hand. This was a treasure that he had spent a lot of effort and time in the martial arts space to obtain. If he were to die here, his treasured weapon would fall along with him. This was something he absolutely could not tolerate. Losing this treasure was simply asking for his life. But this kind of thing could not be changed by his will. The next second, his whole body burst into pieces and turned into a white light. Soon, he disappeared on the spot and was quickly expelled from this virtual world. Everyone's hair stood on end. They felt that this kid was extremely ferocious. He had killed a master with one punch, and his whole body had been smashed. This had brought almost indelible mental trauma to people's spirits. Dying in this virtual world was also a very serious matter. They would not be able to log in for at least a month. They needed to stay in the real world to recuperate and let the exhausted spiritual force completely recover. If the matter was serious, it would leave a psychological shadow. It would also erase the spirit of the martial artist and damage the foundation of martial arts. They would not be able to take a step forward in this life, and there would be big problems in cultivation. Therefore, if it was not necessary, they did not want to die in the virtual world. But obviously, it was not their turn to choose now. All of you could die too. Xiaoping didn't stop even after he killed the green-robed man with a punch. He leaped up and charged towards the group of people in front of him. He held the fire silk net left behind by the green-robed man in his hand and used it to envelop them. Damn, this bastard. You actually dare to attack us? How dare you? Not good. This kid has obtained a prized artifact. We are simply no match for him. The difference between us is too big. Shameless. This prized artifact belongs to this bastard. To think that he would dare snatch it. The surrounding people were caught off guard. They didn't expect Xiaoping to be so savage. He had just killed the green-clothed man with a single punch, and now he actually dared to kill his way up alone and sweep through his enemies. They even discovered to their amazement that this fire silk web seemed to have become even more violent under Xiaoping's control. Every single fire silk web on it suddenly underwent a huge change under Xiaoping's control and the infusion of Gang Qi in his body. Rumble, every single fire silk web actually underwent a huge change and transformed into a fire divine bird. This was the golden crow of hell that was born in the depths of the sun. This was a divine beast that could control flames. They appeared in front of everyone one by one. They formed a flock and covered the sky and earth as they charged over. The surrounding temperature rose rapidly and flames shot out in all directions. It was as if the surrounding several kilometers had turned into a world of flames. What is this? Quite a number of people were shocked. They could feel the raging flames. It was simply several times more terrifying than when a cyan-robed man had used the fire silk net. This magic treasure seemed to have been created specifically for Xiaoping's sake. This was also a matter of course. Xiaoping himself had cultivated the pure yang immortal art. He was born to be a living creature that could control flames. To him, flames were simply like breathing. Therefore, this fire silk web in Xiaoping's hands was simply like a fish in water. It was like a tiger that had grown wings. Its power was many times stronger than when the green-clothed man used it earlier. It could even be said that this fire silk web falling into the hands of the green-clothed man was simply like casting pearls before swine. Bang! 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 One by one, the golden crows of hell flapped their wings and whistled. They swooped down one after another towards the crowd. They were like suns falling down, carrying with them a terrifying aura that shook the heavens and the earth. Not good. Hurry up and dodge. The power of the flames is really too great. We can't fight them head on. Many people shouted loudly. Feeling the terrifying power of the flames, they immediately knew that if they tried to resist, they would definitely be burned to ashes. The problem was that even if they shouted now, it was already too late. Immediately, a group of people were caught off guard and were immediately hit. The terrifying flames erupted, producing a power like that of a missile. In an instant, it exploded. Some of the weaker people were immediately blown to pieces and turned into countless wreckage. Their entire bodies disappeared just like that, and they were expelled from the virtual world. There were also some people who were very sensitive. They sensed Xiaoping's attack in time and tried to dodge. However, it was completely useless, because this was an area of effect attack. Although they managed to dodge the impact, they couldn't dodge the power of the flames. These flames landed on everyone's body. Immediately, it was as if flames had encountered diesel. They began to burn fiercely, crackling and crackling, turning one person after another into a human-shaped torch. It hurts. It hurts so much. Just what kind of flames are these? Why can't they be extinguished? Damned aboriginals. To think that you would dare kill us. In the future, you and I will not rest until one of us is dead. Just you wait. There will definitely be someone who will avenge us. Just wait for your death. Just wait for your death. You will not have a good ending. Absolutely not. The group of people screamed out again and again, cursing viciously. However, no matter how much they cursed, the group of people died in mere moments. All of them were burned to ashes. Everything was cleared away, leaving only some ashes on the ground. Not bad, not bad. This prized artifact is really good. Xiaoping was very satisfied with this newly acquired prized artifact. It was very powerful. Additionally, it was an area of effect attack. It could be said to be both offensive and defensive. That was especially true when dealing with a large number of enemies. It would definitely be very effective. Unfortunately, he could not bring it out to the outside world. He could only use it in the virtual world. That was quite a pity. However, with this prized artifact, he would surely be able to increase his strength by quite a bit in this virtual world. Even if he were to be besieged by a large number of cultivators, he would not be afraid. Chapter 968. At this moment, the people who entered were expelled from the virtual network one by one. The people from the major clans were all stunned. They had never expected such a ridiculous thing to happen. What's going on? Didn't you guys just enter? Why are you out so quickly? Someone asked. He didn't understand what had happened. The group of mercenaries had just entered, but they were out in the blink of an eye. Even Yang Wei couldn't be so fast. It hadn't even been 3 seconds. Sorry, we just entered and met that brat. In the end, we were defeated with just a few punches and kicks. Then, we were expelled from the virtual network, someone said shamefully. He was simply too ashamed to show his face. Immediately, a descendant of an aristocratic family cursed. That scoundrel swindler was only one person. You guys had dozens of people, but you were all killed by a single person. Where did you guys learn martial arts? Did you guys learn to be dogs? Then what's the use of us hiring you? You all sent food to him. Ask yourselves, do you still have any shame? Do you want to take the money and not do anything? He was simply going crazy. He had painstakingly hired so many people to deal with that swindler, but in just a short while, they were sent back to their hometown with just a few punches and kicks. He had never seen such a thing before. You can insult me, but you can't insult my martial arts, someone said angrily. Bang! Before he could finish his words, the aristocrat slapped him across the face. So what if I humiliate you? You still have some damn pride? Why didn't you just now? You crawled out like a dog after being beaten by him. Why didn't you make a fuss then? If I don't beat you up, all the money I've given would be wasted. Pa! 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 He beat the guy to death to vent the anger in his heart. That person was immediately beaten silly. He lay on the ground, too ashamed to show his face. Both his body and mind had suffered great damage. Huangjia, what's wrong with you? Didn't you bring a prized artifact with you? Why didn't you deal with that brat? An aristocratic family disciple looked at the green-robed man. He had high expectations for this man because he had a treasure from the virtual world. It was very valuable. With this treasure, he could simply sweep the newbie village. Dealing with that swindler would be a piece of cake. Hence, he believed that this mission would definitely not fail. My treasure was stolen by that bastard swindler. The green-robed man, Huangjia, said angrily. He clenched his fists. In terms of losses, there was no doubt that his loss was the greatest. Robbed? The group of people were all dumbfounded. This treasure could actually be snatched away? Just what was going on? The people around them immediately told them what had happened. The man in cyan had taken out the fire silk net, a treasured artifact, but it was no match for Wu Wudi. He had been defeated with just a few punches and kicks. The man's face looked like a pig's head. and he was directly expelled from the virtual network. In the end, Wu Wuti took away his treasure artifact and used it to kill everyone present. It could be said that he was the biggest culprit in this failure. If this bastard hadn't sent the treasures to the enemy, they wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state. Huangjia, what the fuck is going on with you? Are you in cahoots with that swindler, Wu Wuti? You can't beat that swindler even though you have a prized artifact, yet you still sent your prized artifact to him. Are you trying to turn the world upside down? The group of young masters from the aristocratic families were furious. Some even suspected that Huangjia was a spy that Wu Wuti had planted among them. Otherwise, how could such a thing have happened? In the novice village, having a treasure artifact would increase the user's strength by several times. They were almost invincible, and it was impossible for them to lose. Now, not only had they lost, but they had even given up their treasure artifact. What kind of nonsense was this? They had never heard of such a thing. It's not that I'm too weak, but that bastard is too strong. I suspect that the kid has mastered a saint-level martial art. That's why he's so abnormal. Huangjia quickly shirked the responsibility, saying that it wasn't his fault, but that the kid was too abnormal. Perhaps he had mastered an amazing martial art. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done such a thing. What? A saint-level martial art? As soon as this was said, everyone was shocked. Even though everyone present was a young master from a large family, or even a direct descendant, there weren't many who had truly mastered a saint-level martial art. After all, even with a saint-level martial art, it was extremely difficult to learn it. Without enough aptitude, even if the secret manual was placed in front of you, you wouldn't be able to understand it. This required extreme talent. It was like calculus, ordinary differential, and other advanced mathematical knowledge. If placed in front of a primary school student, he wouldn't be able to understand it. This was the gap between them, right? I remember that the kid was in a hurry to leave the novice village. He seemed to be planning to complete the novice village mission. Someone suddenly remembered that Xia Ping was in a hurry, as if he had something important to do. It can't be a novice village mission. It said that the rewards of the novice village missions are very generous. Some might be the saint's inheritance, some might be a peerless treasure artifact, and even some secret medicine. In short, every reward is coveted. This is the reward left behind by the saint who created this virtual network. It's to reward the younger generation with potential. Damn, that kid is already an adult. He's so handsome, and he's actually qualified to accept the novice village mission. Snatching the martial arts opportunity of a child, he's too shameless. Bastard, shameless swindler. We definitely can't let him succeed. That's right. We must stop this bastard from getting the mission reward. Otherwise, wouldn't he be going against the heavens? In the future, who will be able to keep him in check in the novice village? Wouldn't he be the king of the novice village? Many people were cursing. They felt that they couldn't let the swindler have his way in the novice village. Otherwise, where they put their faces, they wouldn't be able to take revenge. Yes, immediately bring out a large number of treasure artifacts and destroy that kid. If one person is not his match, then 100 people will come. I don't believe that we can't destroy him. Bring all the weapons and kill that son of a bitch. Oh, right, if we catch that bastard, don't be in a hurry to kill him. First, catch him and torture him. Force him to tell us about the saint's martial arts. This kind of inheritance is simply casting pearls before swine. That's right. We must skin this kid and let him taste the world's 18 kinds of torture. A group of people gnashed their teeth. They wanted to deal with Xia Ping together and make this swindler pay a huge price. And my fire silk net, you must bring it back for me. This is a treasure that I paid a huge price to obtain. It absolutely cannot fall into the hands of this swindler. The green-clothed man, Huangjia, cried. Without this fire silk net, his strength would be reduced by more than half. He must get this treasure artifact back. Only then would he have a foothold in the virtual world. Otherwise, he would really be finished. Chapter 969. Just as Xia Ping was about to leave the village, the teleporter in the square flashed. More and more figures appeared. There were at least 20 of them. Again, Xia Ping's face was gloomy. He always felt that these people were like locusts. After killing one group, another group would come. There was no end to it. But when he saw the figures clearly, he found that they were not adults looking for trouble. They were a group of children. They had returned to the virtual world. Native brother. The little girl, Yi Jiejia, saw Xiaoping's figure and shouted excitedly. Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as she said that, the other children flew over to Xiaoping's side. Didn't you guys go to school? Xiaoping blinked and looked at the group of children who had returned. The little girl, Yi Jiejia, said matter-of-factly, because class was boring, so we skipped class. What? Xiaoping looked at the group of children speechlessly. He did not know what to say. Although he had taught these children a lesson, he did not expect them to learn so quickly. They had all started skipping class. Let's not talk about this. Native brother, where you going? The little girl, Yi Jiejia, blinked her big eyes. The other children looked at Xiaoping as well. I'm going to complete the beginner's village mission and kill the bandit leader, One-Eyed Wolf. Xiaoping answered casually. Beginner's village mission? Bandit One-Eyed Wolf? Oh my god, is it those vicious bandits that are often shown on TV? I heard that those bandits kill without batting an eye. They do all sorts of evil. They often bully men and take women. They are very evil. Wow, it is the legendary bandit leader. This is great. I really want to see what they look like. The group of children chattered excitedly. They all wanted to see the legendary bandits. For them, there was no difference between bandits and the legendary giant pandas. After all, this was the era of the universe. The famous ones were interstellar pirates. They piloted spaceships and went around doing evil. The profession of bandits had disappeared in the long river of history. What do you guys want? Xiaoping suddenly felt that something was wrong. He felt as if he had been pestered by this group of children. Native brother, take us to see them. See bandits. We're going to see bandits together. Yes, let's go together. Let's fight the bandits together. It was the right decision to skip class this time. I didn't expect to have the opportunity to fight bandits and be a hero. A group of children surrounded Xiaoping. Some hugged Xiaoping's left leg, while others hugged his right leg. There was also a little girl who jumped onto his head and hugged his neck. She looked like she wouldn't let go unless he agreed. Moreover, they were all little monsters with strength comparable to calves. They could not be underestimated. If it weren't for Xiaoping's strong body, he would have been killed by them. All right. Let go of me. Xiaoping was helpless. Hearing these words, the group of children cheered excitedly and immediately let go. All of them followed Xiaoping out of the novice village and entered the 100,000 mountains. After walking for a few minutes, Xiaoping suddenly realized a very serious problem. He did not have the exact address of the bandit One-Eyed Wolf. This was a primeval forest with mountains after mountains covering a vast area. Wanting to find the existence of the bandit One-Eyed Wolf in such a vast area was undoubtedly like looking for a needle in a haystack. Oh no, I should go back and ask the village chief for a map. Otherwise, it would be too difficult to find the bandit One-Eyed Wolf in this primeval forest. Xiaoping was in a bit of a dilemma and wanted to return to the novice village. Native brother, what's wrong? The little girl, Yi Jiejia, quickly noticed that something was wrong with Xiaoping and immediately asked. Therefore, Xiaoping expressed his opinion to her. Without the bandit's address, he wanted to temporarily return to the novice village. Why do we have to go back? Isn't the bandit's place over there? The little girl, Yi Jiejia, pointed to a big tree in front of them. There was a sign hanging on it, which seemed to say that the bandit's lair was to the left. What? The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched. This place actually had a sign. The bandit was afraid that others wouldn't know where his lair was. He actually marked his position in the forest. Why is there a sign here? Xiaoping was speechless. The little girl, Yi Jiejia, tilted her head and said in puzzlement, Why is there no sign? There are signs everywhere in this place. What if we get lost? Hearing this, Xiaoping understood. Those who came to the novice village were probably little kids. Thus, they were worried that they would get lost wandering around. Thus, they built signs in the forest. They walked all the way, turning here and there. Every time they came to a fork in the road, a sign would appear, accurately guiding them to the bandit's lair. Just like that, they walked for 3 days and 3 nights. Of course, this was only the time in the virtual world. In the outside world, Only a few hours had passed. We're here. After walking for who knows how many kilometers and crossing over mountains, they arrived at the foot of a small mountain. A child excitedly pointed at a sign at the foot of the mountain. A few crooked black characters were written on the sign: Bandit One-Eyed Wolf's Lair. Xiaoping raised his head and immediately saw that on the mountainside there were many antique buildings. There was also a stone-casted city wall. It was over 10 to 20 meters tall and looked very majestic. It was a place that was easy to defend and hard to attack. A creaking sound rang out. At this moment, the stronghold's gate opened. At the same time, a large number of people logged into the virtual world from the real world and arrived at the novice village. At this moment, the square was densely packed with people. There were a total of 100 or 200 people, all of whom were fierce and evil, exuding a shocking murderous aura. Obviously, these people were not good people in the real world. Most of them were outlaws who had done all kinds of evil. They were called by many big families to deal with Xiaoping. There was also a tall and graceful figure at the edge of the crowd. Her face was covered with a white veil, and her true appearance could not be seen. Her body exuded an aura that kept people at a distance. Even this group of fierce people could feel that this woman was not to be trifled with. In the pugilistic world, there were 3 kinds of people that could not be provoked. One was a child, another was a woman, and the last was an old man. These people looked weak on the surface. If they did not have a few tricks up their sleeves, how would they dare to come out to roam the pugilistic world? Obviously, this woman was also a famous fierce person. The hearts of the villains present surged with vigilance, and they did not dare to go forward to talk to her. Well, where is Wu Wudi? I heard that he went out on a mission, but I don't know where exactly. It doesn't matter. We'll wait outside and wait for him. We'll come back one day. Chapter 970. At that moment, the gate of the stronghold opened. Immediately, a group of people ran out from the gate. There were more than 100 of them, all wearing silver armor and holding long spears. They looked like a regular army in ancient times, neat and uniform. The leader was a middle-aged man riding a tall horse. He was tall and had a ferocious face. One of his eyes was covered with a black eye patch, and the other was vertical, revealing a cold light. His whole body emitted a ferocious aura. As soon as this group of people appeared, it was obvious that they were a group of fierce bandits. They were well-trained and killed people like flies. It was enough to make countless people tremble in fear. Some adults would tremble when they saw them. However, this group of children were not ordinary people. When they saw this group of bandits, all of them were extremely excited. Their eyes seemed to be emitting little stars. Wow, these are the legendary bandits. They're so cool. Look at this scar, this mark. It must have been cut by someone. It's so realistic, even more powerful than on TV. This weapon is also very powerful. It emits a cold light. Maybe it's extremely sharp and can cut iron like mud. It's said that their main job is to rob people. They often run around and never need to go to class or do homework. Don't need to do homework. Won't the teachers criticize them? They'll be punished to stand in class and hit their palms. Stupid. They don't need to go to class. Why would there be teachers? That's true, but if they don't study or go to class, they won't know anything. Aren't they very stupid? They're a little stupid, but they are fierce. The group of children chattered, looking at the group of bandits like curious babies. They pointed and commented on the group of bandits, showing their surprise. Hearing this, the group of bandits' faces darkened. They felt like they were animals in a zoo, surrounded by a group of curious tourists. Shut up. One of the bandits couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "You bunch of brats, don't you know that this is our territory? How dare you come close? Do you want to die?" He looked at the group of children with a ferocious face, trying to scare them. Wow, the bandits are talking. Their voices are so loud. Quick, go and catch him. Catch him alive. I want to ask him how to be a bandit. That way, I don't need to go to school. Yes, I want to catch them as pets and show them to the students. They are bandits from ancient times. The group of children didn't seem frightened at all. Instead, when they heard the bandits speak, they were all very surprised. They actually rushed towards the bandits at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All of them circulated their astral energy, and like cannonballs, They tore through the air. Each of them was like a small, ferocious beast, extremely powerful. In an instant, they pounced towards the bandits. What? The bandits were completely dumbfounded. They didn't expect that this group of children would actually dare to personally pounce on them. They were like wolves and tigers, and their speed was so fast that they couldn't even react. Bang, bang, bang. Although these children looked very small, each of them had gone through the most top-notch training. They grew up soaking in medicinal baths, tempering their bodies, cultivating top-notch cultivation techniques, and possessing tyrannical bloodlines. One could imagine just how terrifying the strength of these brats was. With a single punch, they could instantly generate several tons of destructive power, bombarding these bandits. In an instant, a dozen or so bandits were hit. Their entire bodies were sent flying, coughing up blood in midair. 5 or 6 of their ribs were broken, making cracking sounds. It was very miserable. Amazing. Xiaoping was speechless when he saw this scene. If this group of children were to come to the Cloud Realm, they would definitely turn the world upside down. He had never seen such abnormal children. Each of them was like the offspring of a divine beast. If it wasn't for the fact that he cultivated the top-notch cultivation technique, possessed the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline, and had many fortuitous encounters, he really wouldn't be able to control this group of little monsters. In just a few breaths, half of the bandits were swept away, and they were staggering. Not bad. At this moment, the leader of the bandits, One-Eyed Wolf, who was riding on a tall horse, sneered. His eyes revealed a frightening cold light. At this moment, he finally made his move. Boom! He jumped up from his horse, and like an eagle, he leaped into the air and swooped down. His entire body was wrapped in a terrifying flame energy. He slapped down from air, and an extremely hot aura came from all around. It was like a sun falling from the sky, containing extremely pure flame energy and full of destructive power. Wow, this bandit leader is so powerful. Everyone, run away quickly. Jia, let's run. When the group of children saw the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf make his move, they were immediately shocked. Their reaction speed was also extremely fast. They knew that they were no match for this bandit leader, so they quickly dodged. They activated their protective vigor to resist the bandit's flame energy. Bang! 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 Suddenly, they were sent flying by the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf's palm strength. They fell to the ground like rubber balls, rolling a dozen times in mid-air, extinguishing the flames, and finally stopping. However, the skin of this group of children was very thick. Even if they were hit by the palm, they were unscathed and still jumped up and down. At this moment, the ground was also hit by the palm. In an instant, a pit with a diameter of 10 meters appeared on the whole ground. Gravel splashed, soil flew, and dense cracks appeared on the ground. The scene was shocking. Even around the pit, there were traces of flames everywhere, emitting a raging fire. Some of the soil was even burned into molten lava, crackling. This showed that the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf was terrible, and he was not an ordinary person. There was a trace of coldness in Xiaoping's eyes. He could see that the bandit leader's Gangqi cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme power realm of the ninth heaven. If that was all, it would not be a big deal. However, he had mastered a peerless martial art with infinite power. It was estimated that it was at least a sage's martial art. Otherwise, its power could not be so terrible. He knew that it would not be so easy to complete this task in the novice village. Maybe the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf was the biggest obstacle and the most terrible enemy. Come on, did you take the task of the village and want to kill me, One-Eyed Wolf? I don't know how many idiots wanted to take this task to kill me, but they all died in front of the village. You are no exception. One-Eyed Wolf sneered and immediately rushed up. Even in the face of children, he would never show any mercy. In his eyes, there were only 2 kinds of people, enemies and friends. He activated his Gangqi, and flames covered his fists. His whole body was like a man of fire. He smashed over, covering a radius of 1 kilometer. Heat waves rolled, and flames shot in all directions. Dong! Chapter 9, 71. Boom! In an instant, Xiaoping was hit by One-Eyed Wolf's punch. He suddenly felt as if his whole body was enveloped by a sun, emitting endless heat waves. Immediately, he felt as if his hair, skin, blood, and bones were all melting at this moment. Even his gang energy felt like it was being evaporated by the heat. What a strong flame energy. Xiao Ping's pupils constricted. He felt that this one-eyed wolf was not an ordinary bandit leader. He had saint-level martial arts. When he punched, it was as if the sun had descended, burning everything within. It was estimated that if an ordinary Grandmaster-level cultivator encountered this bandit leader, he would definitely be killed with one punch and burned to ashes. It was possible that this was another shadow of a saint, disguised as a bandit leader. This one-eyed wolf's strength was even more terrifying than the shadow of a saint in the martial arts school. He seemed to have more intelligence and agility than before, and his combat power was extraordinary. Sure enough, this novice village task was not so easy to complete. Good lad, you have some strength. Take another punch from me. One-eyed wolf was also a little surprised. If an ordinary person took this punch, they would have been beaten to death, and all the blood in their body would have evaporated. However, the lad in front of him was only knocked back a dozen steps, and his body did not suffer much damage. However, he was not surprised for too long. Since he could not kill him with one punch, he would give him 2 or 3 punches. Whoosh! One-eyed wolf pressed forward. His movements were like that of a wolf, filled with explosive power as he punched out once more. His fist shone with boundless golden light and was enveloped by the crimson flames. The surrounding flames condensed and seemed to have turned into molten lava, containing boundless heat. Anyone who came within 3 zhang of it would be burned by this scorching energy. It was like a sun burning everything around it into ashes just by standing there. It was a great killing weapon in itself, sweeping through everything in its path. He can actually use the flame gang energy to such an extent. Xiaoping secretly praised. It was an eye-opener. He felt that his technique of using the gang energy in his body was too simple. It was like a baby learning how to walk. His opponent punched, and the flame energy vibrated, displaying the burning, heat, destruction, and other characteristics of the flame vividly and vividly. Not even a bit of energy was wasted. It was like a fire god burning the world. Anything with water would evaporate completely. It was extremely overbearing and unreasonable, not allowing any energy other than flames to exist. Extreme. Yes, Xiaoping felt what was called extreme power from this punch. When one's speed reached the pinnacle, even a leaf or a flower could easily cut through steel, kill someone from 1,000 miles away, tear apart everything, and cut through iron like it was mud. This was the terror of reaching the pinnacle of speed. The same was true for the power of fire. The one-eyed wolf, the bandit chief, had already unleashed the burning and destructive properties of fire to the extreme. It seemed like anything that came into contact with the flames would be completely destroyed and incinerated internally. It even had the effect of lasting a long time. The flame stayed in place and burned on the rocks, giving off raging flames and continuously destroying them. It was estimated that once the enemy was touched by these flames would not stop until the enemy was completely incinerated. Dong! One-eyed wolf's punch smashed into Xiaoping's body and instantly hit his Dark North body protecting technique. A layer of internal aura shield emerged and condensed into a transparent chi shield. Immediately, the flame power of this punch burned wildly, as if to burn a big hole in his Dark North body protecting technique, and there was a feeling of penetrating into his internal organs through Qigong. Once successful, I am afraid that countless meridians in his body will be roasted by this flame aura, and the whole person will become a human-shaped coke and disappear from the virtual world. This flame is not an ordinary flame, but a kind of strange flame. No wonder it's so terrifying. Even the Dark North body protecting technique can't hold on. Xiaoping's pupils searched. He noticed that the bandit chief One-Eyed Wolf had absorbed a kind of strange flame of heaven and earth, similar to the fire of life, earth spirit fire, and sun essence that he had absorbed before. Therefore, the other party's flame aura was so powerful and destructive. Coupled with the saint-level fist technique, This was simply invincible and could fight 1 against 100. This bandit chief is so powerful. I only know how to spit fire all day long. I'm going to die of heat. Native Big Brother, don't lose, defeat this bad guy quickly. Yes, Native Big Brother, you will definitely win. You can't lose. The surrounding group of little kids hid far away, as if they couldn't bear such heat. They cheered Xia Ping from afar, hoping to defeat this bandit chief. The other bandits didn't dare to approach. In a battle of this level, they would die if they entered. You want to defeat me? You're dreaming. I'll send you to the West Heaven. Die for me. One-eyed wolf sneered. He was unforgiving and displayed a wonderful fist technique. In the air, there was a dense fist mark, each of which contained a terrifying flame energy, like a flaming meteor descending to the earth, with unparalleled power. It seemed that he wanted to destroy Xia Ping in one move, and he used all his strength. Saint-level fist technique? You're not the only one who knows. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a cold light. He stepped out, punched in the air, and operated the pure yang immortal secret art. In that instant, 108,000 pores on his body emitted wisps of flames, and all of them gathered together. His entire body seemed to have become a huge man of fire, and the flame energy gathered under his fist. In that instant, it actually formed a huge flame vortex, producing an extremely terrifying spiral force. This fist smashed towards the bandit chief, One-Eyed Wolf, and the two forces collided. Bang, bang, bang. The fist mark in the air was instantly destroyed by the flame vortex. As if there was a black hole, all the fist force was torn apart, and in a few breaths, it was completely annihilated, leaving nothing behind. What? The bandit chief, One-Eyed Wolf, was shocked. He didn't expect Xia Ping's fist technique to be so terrifying, containing a spiral force, instantly breaking his fist technique. He was completely caught off guard and was punched through the air by Xia Ping. His body flew out just like that and instantly smashed into a small mountain in the distance. With a bang, that small stone mountain was instantly shaken to the point of collapsing, splitting into pieces and turning into powder. There was even a huge crater that appeared, and the cracks extended for several kilometers. The scene was astonishing. With a puff, the bandit chief One-Eyed Wolf couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood. Damn, this isn't over yet. Die for me. Chapter 972. Bang, bang, bang. The battle between Xia Ping and the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf was extremely intense. In the air, two huge fireballs collided. It was as if two suns were colliding, erupting with terrifying power and rumbling sounds. Every time they collided, a large amount of flames would erupt. These condensed flames fell in all directions, creating huge craters and even burning the rocks. In just a few short minutes, the surrounding several kilometers had turned into a sea of fire. Even a small mountain in the distance was covered in flames, burning fiercely. Native Brother is so strong. Defeat that bad guy. Do your best to defeat that bad bandit. Seeing such a shocking battle scene, the group of children were all dumbfounded. They looked at Xia Ping with admiration and cheered him on. What's going on? Why is this kid so strong? He can actually fight on par with the boss. No way. Can he really defeat the boss? That's impossible. The boss is an invincible existence. Since ancient times, who knows how many people have come to challenge him, but all of them have died. This kid will not be an exception. Stop arguing. Hurry up and dodge, or we'll die here. The surrounding bandits were dumbstruck as well. They'd never imagined that their leader would actually be unable to instantly kill this kid. This was simply an inconceivable matter that greatly exceeded their expectations, and it caused them to have a bad premonition. However, they had no time to care about their boss. The battle was simply too intense. Those who were close to the battlefield would suffer. Many bandits who were relatively close retreated in fear, dodging to the side. Some of them did not manage to dodge in time and were smashed by a fireball. They were instantly burned to ashes, not even having the chance to scream. Seeing the situation, the surviving bandits revealed expressions of lingering fear. So that's how it is. The power of the spiral can fuse with anything. This is a superb battle technique. As the battle became more and more intense, Xiaoping's control of the power of the spiral became even more superb. He fused the power of the spiral into his fiery astral energy. With every punch and kick, he blasted out a flame spiral, producing extremely strong penetrative power and full of destructive power. It could be said that the power of his current moves was many times stronger than before. This was a qualitative change. Even though his strength hadn't changed much, his destructive power had become even more terrifying. The spiraling fireballs smashed into the ground one after another, instantly creating a huge pit. It was like a spiral drill, drilling more than 10 meters into the ground in a few breaths, causing soil to fly everywhere. This kind of attack power could penetrate the protective aura, and almost no one could block it. Die. The bandit leader, One-Eyed Wolf, immediately sensed a terrifying aura coming from Xiaoping's body. He felt that Xiaoping was many times more dangerous than before. It was as if Xiaoping possessed a method capable of threatening his life. He immediately felt that he couldn't go on like this. If he continued to fight, he would definitely die. He had to end the battle quickly and get rid of this dangerous enemy as soon as possible. One-Eyed Wolf let out a furious roar as he circulated the astral energy in his body. A sun seemed to emerge from the depths of his Dantian's sea of qi, emanating terrifying fiery energy. The 108,000 pores on his body burst forth with a huge golden light that illuminated the world. It was as if all the flame energy had gathered on his fists. This was like a laser cannon. All the energy gathered together and then exploded in an instant, creating an extremely terrifying destructive power. This was an attack that could tear apart the defenses of a battleship. Xiaoping's eyes gleamed. The infernal golden crow's eye spun slowly, and his thinking speed reached 10 times that of normal. It was as if the time of everything in the world had slowed down by 10 times. He clearly saw the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf's attack. The opponent's angle, speed, destructive power, and so on were all within the scope of his calculations. He clearly understood everything. However, he didn't care about it. He was immersed in his own comprehension of the spiral force. Right, what should I call this move? At this moment, Xiaoping's thinking speed had reached an extreme limit. 1 second had passed in the outside world, but several hours had passed in the world of his mind. He continued to think. At this moment, his comprehension of the spiral force had reached a new height. Based on the martial arts knowledge he had learned, he continued to rearrange and combine them. A virtual figure was practicing in the depths of his mind, slowly creating a new killer move. Right, since it has something to do with the spiral force, why don't I call it the Black Vortex Triple Fist? At this moment, Xiaoping's mind was enlightened. He punched out, and all the flame energy in his body gathered on his fist. The majestic flame energy gathered together, forming a vortex that turned into a sphere. This sphere kept spinning like a black hole, seemingly devouring the light around it. Most of the color disappeared, leaving only black. The surrounding people all saw a black vortex appear above Xiaoping's fist, and the surrounding air condensed into a solid form. Circles of ripples appeared, spreading out in all directions, emitting a strange and mysterious aura. Kill! Xiaoping punched out. In an instant, a spinning fireball exploded, smashing towards One-Eyed Wolf. It was huge, with a diameter of 2 to 3 meters, and flew out like a meteor. At the same time, One-Eyed Wolf's attack also blasted over. It turned into a flame beam, and the air was scorching hot. As it swept across, even the air seemed to be burning. This attack was extremely terrifying, and its penetrative power was astonishing. Even a mountain would be pierced by this flame beam, and the entire mountain would be torn apart. Rumble! The two energies collided, like a comet hitting the earth. However, it was clear that the spinning fireball had the upper hand. One-Eyed Wolf's flame beam landed on the spiral fireball, and it was like a beam of light falling into a black hole. It was instantly devoured and turned into nothingness. How is this possible? One-Eyed Wolf was shocked. He had not expected that his attack would be futile, and he would even be devoured directly unable to do anything. He tried to dodge, but it was too late. The spiral fireball smashed over, like a meteor falling to the ground, and slammed hard on One-Eyed Wolf's body. In just a few breaths' time, the earth energy shield on his body was torn apart, as if it had been crushed by the spiral force. Arg! One-Eyed Wolf let out a shrill scream. The fireball pierced through his body in an instant, and a bloody hole appeared on the spot. Blood was dripping, and his lungs were severely injured. The flame energy exploded, spreading throughout his body, and he was instantly surrounded by fire. His entire body was on fire, and every cell in his body was burning wildly. Chapter 973. With a thud, the instant the One-Eyed Wolf disappeared, a secret manual fell from midair. It landed on the muddy ground and gave off a white light. What is this? Xiaoping immediately noticed the existence of this secret book. He grabbed it with his big hand, producing a strong suction force, and instantly grabbed the secret book. A few big words were written on the secret book. Yang-God Fist. Yang-God Fist? Could it be that the saint-level fist technique displayed by this bandit leader just now is called Yang-God Fist? After killing this guy, I could get a saint-level secret book? Xiaoping didn't expect that this was really a game. After killing a game character, he could actually get a treasure, and it was this kind of saint-level fist technique secret book. This was simply rich. However, this could also be a reward after completing this task. No way, Yang-God Fist. You actually got this fist technique. Are you kidding me? Hearing this name, Corinne seemed to be taken aback and firmly stared at this secret book. What's wrong? Have you heard of this fist technique? Xiaoping asked curiously. Corinne stared at the secret book. Yang-God Fist is a fist technique possessed by a powerful sage. It is said that once he uses this fist technique, his whole body is like a sun god descending, incinerating everything. Wherever he goes, planets will be melted. This is the most yang and unyielding flame fist technique. When practiced to a high level, ordinary people simply can't get close. Once they get close, they will immediately be incinerated into ashes and vaporized on the spot. It can be said that the strength of this sage is even more terrifying than the strength of my old master. His prestige is illustrious, but since his fall, this fist technique disappeared. I don't know how many people have searched for it, but to no avail. I didn't expect to find this amazing fist technique in this novice village. He indicated that this fist technique was extremely precious. Once it was exposed, it would definitely set off huge waves in the universe, possibly causing countless experts to fight over it. Such a sage can still fall? Xiaoping was stunned. Corinne said in a deep voice, "Of course he can fall. The universe is infinite, and there are some secret places that are extremely dangerous. Even if a sage goes in, he will have a slim chance of survival." Back then, it was said that the sage went to a secret place in the universe in search of an opportunity to break through. Unfortunately, he never came out again. He probably died in that place. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Such a powerful fist technique. If I were to display it, wouldn't it be seen by others? Wouldn't it cause some big trouble? Corinne looked at this bastard with disdain. With your virtue, you are still afraid of stirring up big trouble. You are already a big trouble. Do you still need this fist technique to attract bees and butterflies? However, it's still comforted. That's not a big deal. I don't know how long that saint has been dead. He's been dead for tens of thousands of years, even longer than my old master. That is why even those who know about this fist technique of his do not know about it. I reckon that only the descendants of some ancient orthodoxies would know about it. Ordinary people would not know what it is even if they saw it. If you learn it, you won't have to worry about others finding out. Corinne originally wanted to say that this fist technique was incomparably profound and mysterious. Even if he obtained this secret book, it would not be easy to learn it. However, after thinking about it carefully, he realized that this kid was a freak. Such a powerful and complicated cultivation technique, like star guiding art, was learned by this guy in just a few breaths. Now, he had even created a tyrannical fist technique called Black Vortex Ripple Fist. Moreover, it seemed to have endless potential. It was reckoned that this evildoer would not find it difficult to learn this sun god fist. Wouldn't it be very difficult to learn such a powerful cultivation technique? Xiaoping blinked his eyes and flipped through the secret book. Hearing this, the corner of Corinne's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He revealed a calm and indifferent look. It's okay. It's not difficult for those who know it, but it's not difficult for those who don't know it. It depends on fate. It seems that my fate with it should not be shallow. Xiaoping put away the secret book with satisfaction. He wanted to use the system to thoroughly learn this fist technique. At this moment, the death of the bandit leader One-Eyed Wolf had thoroughly shocked many bandits. Oh my God, the leader's been killed by this guy. It's over. Even the leader is not his match. Then, aren't we just a dish? Hurry up and run, we can't stay in this place. Immediately, the group of bandits fled in fear. As the saying goes, monkeys scatter when the tree falls. Without the existence of a tyrannical leader like One-Eyed Wolf, they were just ordinary bandits. They could be annihilated at any time. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These bandits fled very quickly. In a short while, they left the bandits' lair. They ran quite fast. Xiaoping was speechless. However, he did not chase after them. In any case, his mission was only to kill One-Eyed Wolf and not to annihilate this group of small bandits. Therefore, he was too lazy to waste his energy dealing with this group of small fries. We finally defeated this group of bad bandits. This is really great. Sure enough, evil cannot defeat good. Quick, let's go into the bandits' lair to take a look. It is said that there are a lot of gold and silver treasures in the bandits' lair. We are going to make a fortune this time. Hurry up and rob them all. A group of children shouted excitedly. Their eyes were shining. Each and every one of them was like a small bandit. With the mentality of plucking the feathers of a goose, they rushed into the stronghold. Xiaoping also walked over to them. At this moment, with the death of One-Eyed Wolf, many bandits fled. The entire stronghold was already empty. There were empty buildings everywhere. However, the area of this stronghold was not very big. After a group of children continuously searched, after a few hours, they finally found a secret room in the stronghold. After opening the entire secret room, they immediately found a lot of gold and silver treasures. They were shining with golden light and were very valuable. A group of children excitedly rushed over and cheered endlessly. There are really treasures. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. However, this is the virtual world. What is the use of finding treasures in this place? They can't be taken out. Corinne seemed to see through Xiaoping's thoughts and immediately said, "These treasures are still very useful." This martial arts space is equivalent to a virtual online game. It also has its own currency that is gold coins. With gold coins, you can buy various items in this martial arts space, including the treasures of the virtual world, as well as elixirs, and even various privileges. There are even many people who are willing to exchange universe coins for gold coins. It means that the gold and silver treasures in the virtual world are also very useful and valuable. Many people want to exchange universe coins for the gold coins in the martial arts space. About one universe coin is equivalent to one gold coin.